Hey, welcome back to The Necessary Entrepreneur. This week we welcome Jack Cook and Elliot Hebeler, founding members of Illusion Islands Entertainment Studio, who just opened their Midwest headquarters right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Jack and Elliot met in L.A., but realized they both grew up in greater Cincinnati area. Jack's a director and Elliot is an actor with a background in production. They just finished up the production for the upcoming movie, The Private Eye, starring Matt Rife, due out in February 2024. In this episode, we talked about why these two guys chose a headquarters in Cincinnati, Ohio, what the Cincinnati work ethic looks like compared to New York and L.A. We also talked about control and adaptability, trustic intuition, and the it factor, which is one of my favorite subjects. And nobody's going to work as hard as you're going to work for yourself. Jack and Elliot talk about the new Hollywood, the best advice they've received in the business, and that if you're over 30, you don't decide who's famous. That hurt. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll continue having great conversations with great people like these two guys. I hope you love this one as much as we do. Thanks again. So, hey, thanks for joining us. I think I'm looking at you guys today. So, even though Elliot wants to go by, man, I'm Elliot, man. He came with the sunglasses, but it's Elliot Hebeler.
Elliot Hebeler.
Okay,
That's
so
right.
now we're going to go Elliot from here on out. But
Okay.
Jack Cook,
Yep.
man, I think I told you on the phone, that sounds like a pirate's name, man.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
That's what I am.
Okay, here we
Now
go.
you're just tickling them.
That's actually why we named our company Illusion Islands. Is when we first met, we both had super long hair. Like my hair was down to my waist and big old beard, and we were like the reason why we named it Illusion Islands too is making a movie or any product is kind of like being a pirate or let's say a voyager, because you do one voyage at a time. And that's kind of where Illusion Islands stem from, and it's all very water-based, gold. We like gold.
So what part of it's an illusion?
That's the whole industry.
yeah.
All we do is create illusions. Like my job is to distract you, so you're not watching a movie. You're just following somebody's story.
Is that what's up with the jackets today?
Oh well,
Sure.
this is actually big
we like
shout out.
gold, right?
Yeah, gold. Pepe Ramundo's. I don't know if you ever been to Pepe's. It's on the west side. He's the best fit in Cincinnati. Actually, my brother, hired him for his wedding. Like I was the best man at the wedding, and got Pepe Ramundo's. But that's who keeps me looking Hollywood. And Paulo the jeweler. Like they make sure that I look Hollywood in Cincinnati. But
yeah, how the hell are you guys bringing Hollywood to Cincinnati? So you're opening the studio in Glendale downtown.
Yep.
And we talked before last week to say, hey, do we want to do this together?
Yeah.
You said, hey, man, I bought a building in downtown Glendale, and I'm
Yep.
like, yeah, that thing would have been how many X
Yeah.
cost if it was in L.A.?
Oh my
Couple
God.
million?
At least
10
a couple.
times the price. At
maybe
least, probably.
even $5 million for
Yeah.
that type of building.
Couple hundred Ks, 2 to 4 or 5 million there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the idea behind creating – because it's actually a full name. So it is Entertainment Studio. So it's Illusion Island Entertainment Studio.
Yes.
What's the idea of having an entertainment studio, whatever that is, in Glendale?
So
Cincinnati?
first off, Glendale was chosen because of it was my hometown. That's where I was born and raised. I'm actually 7 generations Glendale. So since Glendale started, my family's been there, and even since like Cincinnati started as a city, my family's been here. So bringing it back, I mean, it's always been a dream of Elliot and I's to bring it back to the hometown, but there's plenty of other incentives, all right? The first one being money. Ohio and Kentucky are offering people money to film here, tax credits and tax incentives. So our incentives. Our first movie that we're going to film here next year is titled A Soul to Squeeze, and we received the 30% tax incentive from Kentucky. So that's why a lot of the films have moved out of L.A. I mean, Atlanta's like the biggest hub other than L.A., and it has the largest studio in the United States because they give a 30 to 35% tax incentive credit, one of the two.
So
Yeah.
that big one in Atlanta, Tyler Perry owns that, doesn't he?
Yes,
Oh,
he
yeah.
does. And did you know that it's on an old Confederate base?
I didn't.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's like
funny.
yeah. So he turned it around, and I watched a speech with Tyler Perry saying he put it in it was like a poor neighborhood. So he was grew up poor apparently, and he wanted people to walk outside and see this giant sound stage and be like, man, I can do that one day.
Have you guys been there?
I have
I
not.
have not. No.
So there was a guy, I don't know if it was William Jackson or who it was, but somebody that was on here was there. Went there for one of the events and talked
cool.
about how just impressive it was.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, I know. I have a few friends that have filmed there, and yeah, same thing.
Next level. It's probably for those of us that haven't been to any of these studios in LA, it
Mm-hmm.
probably feels the same way. So to you guys, it'd probably be like, well, it's cool. It's just it's outside of LA now.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Right? Where do you
And
have a
it's just
studio?
inspiring
Yeah.
too, because I mean, like we talk about building a studio in Cincinnati someday, and it's just like Tyler Perry did. It shows that it's possible,
Yeah.
and it can happen, and
Yes.
that
So who was your all's what's possible person? Right? So you guys, you're both from Cincy, but you met in LA.
yeah.
Mhm.
Right?
Yes.
You probably created this relationship and you forged these ideas and let's go back to Cincinnati and do it. And
Yeah.
we won't. There's a couple other well-known guys here doing it, but we're not talking about them today, right? But there's something happening. Is it the incentive?
It's many things. I mean, it's the hometown for sure.
But
But
without the incentive, the hometown isn't getting it done for you.
that's not true either. I
No?
think we would have done it either way. I mean, the same thing with Tyler Perry because, you can make incentives. It's all about, in the end of the day, you got to really choose, all right, am I going to work for somebody and really try to look for my next job all the time, or am I going to do exactly what I want to do and do it my way? And I think that's the way that Elliot and I chose to
and
do
be
it.
around the people we want to be around too. I mean, all of our friends growing up and family, they're still local, and just giving them a bit of the experience that we've been having over the past decade plus. And so Jack and I, something that we are very passionate about is everything that we do in LA and New York, such as not just filming, but the premieres and the parties. We want to bring that here to
And I'm glad
Kentucky
you
and
brought on that
Cincinnati as
point
well. Yeah.
because, there has been people that paved the way for filmmaking. Filmmaking has been going on here since, the 90s and the 80s. And now you have about 2 major motion pictures every year filmed in Cincinnati alone. And we're not even talking about how the Avengers filmed in Cleveland and et cetera, et cetera. So there was already a paved way, and this is like through people like Doris Owens from the Owens Group and Christian Slotman from Film Cincinnati and Nancy Collini, Amy Majerski. All these people have brought in Hollywood to film here, and what we want to do to give our part is bring the premieres, like he's saying, like bring the nightlife. Because when you think of Hollywood, yeah, you think of filming, but you also think of entertainment, fun time.
red
And
carpets.
you brought up entertainment studios. It's bigger than just movies, I believe. I think a lot of people pigeonhole themselves in a way. We've got events coming up. We've got on February 3rd, not only we're going to have the premiere of the Private Eye movie in Cincinnati. That's going to be at the Esquire in the afternoon. In the evening, we're going to be at the Woodward, and Lexi Pantera and Chip the Ripper and Big Thorn, all the Jay Reeves and Jared Brady are performing at the live event as well. And then, you create this fun buzz, and that, I believe, I think I don't want to say that it's not here because Cincinnati's the most awesome city in my mind. I'm from
Why do we
there,
think?
right?
Is this some Homer shit that we have? Because I've been to 43 states.
Okay.
Traveled a little bit internationally.
Yep.
It feels good.
Oh, man,
yeah.
that cut in the hill right here. There's nothing like that skyline.
No, I
I've
think
lived in New
that's-
York, LA, but
yeah, well, we're
Cincinnati's my
chasing.
favorite skyline.
We're just chasing to feel good, and this place, not only is it our home and what brought us up and what made us who we are, but the reason we moved out was because we couldn't do what we wanted to do here,
True.
and that was
well said.
be in movies. And so there's very few places in the world where it's a mecca for creatives and making movies and film and entertainment, LA being one of them, of course. And it just so happened that that's where we met. And the beautiful thing about our friendship was we already had the bond of Cincinnati and where we were from, and it was served to us on a silver platter. It was here's the friendship. But we took it further and discovered we have the same dream, the same vision, the same plan for our careers and lives. And a big plan of that was to keep our family and keep our close ones involved, but also to continue to expand. You know, we want to be everywhere, worldwide, not just LA and Cincinnati, but Cincinnati's somewhere that we can always kind of resort back to and sink back into, you know, what made us who we are.
Yeah, and on top of that, you know, work ethic. Like Ohio work ethic is par to none. I mean, like there's different cultures in L.A., New York. I mean, all the people are the same, right? But cultures are different. And, you know, you go to New York, you know when that guy's from New York besides the accent because his attitude. L.A. is the same way. Cincinnati, a lot of our actors and crew members are actually from, or their parents were from, Ohio.
So that work ethic is refreshing, is what you're saying.
Oh, man.
Absolutely.
Running circles around these L.A. folk, you know?
Yeah. So what do you say?
Jack was raised by a carpenter,
Tradesman.
construction worker, and so was I. I mean, my dad's an engineer, but my grandfather was a very handy carpenter, jack of all trades as well, Eagle Scout like Jack is. And so we were just, you know, as soon as we popped out of the womb, it was just, all right, get to work.
Where'd you guys meet? How'd you meet in L.A.? Did you meet at some party or did you meet on a
set? Yeah, we met on set. Actually, we're actually on the set of Aquarius. It's called. We're actually having I already named her.
Nancy.
Give her a shout out, Nancy Collini. We actually met her on the same set too. She's a costume designer and
from Cincinnati.
And it was called Aquarius. It starred David Duchovny, and Elliot and I played two hippie rock stars smoking fake joints by the fire, and it was an all-night shoot. So these night shoots, they go from, you know, right when it gets dark around 6 or 8, and then it goes until the light comes out, you know. So we were hanging out all night, and at the time, hope you don't mind me saying, Elliot, we both were taking the bus.
Yeah.
And so, like,
didn't have cars at the time.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So we met, like, after the bus. Tell the Skyline story. I know we weren't supposed to tell anybody. Now we're saying it on a podcast.
We're doing the whole walking and talking thing. The set that night was from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So, you know, there's 12 hours of getting to know each other. And it's just funny how they just, like, selected the two of us to play the same role and be in the same position all night and everything. And it was just, you know, it was just kind of fate. But we're walking and talking after the set to the bus stop, and Jack's telling me his life story, and I'm telling him mine, and then he's like, you know, I got this movie I'm gonna make, and you can't tell anybody. You gotta promise me you can't tell anybody. And I'm like, all right. He's like, well, you're gonna love it. And I'm like, okay, tell me. So he tells me he's gonna make a movie about the story of Skyline, and, you know, and the guy who came over from Greece and left his family
Skyline
behind.
chili.
Yeah, I would love to make that movie.
Story to the world.
I would love
so,
to, and it's the immigrant story. You know, the guy left his kids and wife in Greece
and was working in kitchens.
Yeah, working in, you know,
saved up enough money to buy his own kitchen, and then brought his family here, and then the recipe had already been in the family for however long. So he just brought that recipe not to life, but he made it you know.
He brought it to life.
Exposable for everybody.
Yeah.
And
I think when they were about to buy it from this is like when the kids own it. When they sold it, they were like, you can buy it from us, but you can't change the recipe.
Yep.
You know. And
Yeah,
so I think it's a great story. And I think I said to you, Elliot, that if you tell somebody, I'm gonna have to kill you.
Yeah, something like that. And we actually
we told the world.
We disconnected, if you want to say that, but it was probably about a year before we reconnected, and then that was when we really started building and laying the bricks to our companies and whatnot. But I told him right when we reconnected, I was like, hey, Jack, I haven't told a soul about the Skyline story. And he was like, that's why I like you. He was like, let's start a business together.
You guys connected over a bus ride. Maybe you're poor as hell. Maybe that's why we got to go away and keep working and come back together.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to go find your riches somehow, some way.
Yeah, so you guys have this dream and this vision. What is it? Like, riches come up. A lot of people think it's about the money. I mean, let's be real. Y'all want to make some money, though.
No.
Well, so, you know, we're pirates that
way,
are chasing the gold, but our treasure is movies, making more movies. So, like the great Walt Disney said, we don't make movies to make money. We make money to make more movies.
And that's the truth.
Been our
you know?
statement ever since.
And we've like these past few years, I mean, it took us 5 to 10 years to actually start making money ourselves. And we tried chasing the dream at first, right? Like we always wanted to make movies. We weren't getting the opportunities, and nobody was believing us like we wanted to. So we started working on other movies, but also commercials. And I think short time after that, I'll speak for you too, Elliot, we realized that that's just as hard as worrying about your own stuff. You might see some like things immediately, but I mean, when you're doing commercials, you know, you have to have a new client all the time. You might have somebody on a retainer, but like you need to have projects, you know, constantly. And that's just, to me, that's just as much hard work because you're taking your time and your mind off of what you really want to do, and you're doing that. Sure, you might not see it right away, but our foundation for movies is so strong that, you know, now we're starting to be able to make our own choices, and people are starting to
have
come
some
on board.
control, or have the control, which
So I think
is very valuable.
when you talk about control, so I just got out of a doing a little leadership development meeting for some of the people that work for the company I run.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And control's good, but you got to be good with control too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Fluid.
are you guys good enough with the control right now?
Oh, there's
you there?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, we're there, and but also what you said is very important. Adaptability. You know, I read this book. You know, it's probably a lot of people read it. It's called Art of War. But one of the strategies
Sun
is
Tzu.
Sun Tzu.
Oh, yeah.
You got to be fluid like water. And our situations, you got to be so determined and so sure of yourself that you're going to film this movie in November. But if something comes up and you can't film in November, you can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to quit and stop." No, you got to adapt and figure out what did I do wrong, or what do I need to do now, and you know, adapt with that and move on. That's very important for leaders, I think.
Yeah, so when you're running something, right? Because so many people, not being negative and derogatory, but so many people don't have that quality.
No.
Sure.
They don't have that leadership characteristic, right?
Yeah,
No.
and they don't
we
want
need
to.
those people too, though.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
people that just want to work.
Yeah,
I got them in my family.
Yeah.
That's how I grew up like you guys, blue collar, right?
Yep.
No one taught me to have like hopes and dreams. Now, nobody was holding me back,
Yeah.
but there was nobody really setting the seed. They were working, bringing home the money, paying the bills, keeping a roof over your head.
Yeah.
That's what I learned.
Yeah.
But that's
yeah.
that work ethic you're talking about.
Yeah. No, that's
Those
I
people
think
usually see
you need both.
the other side, us, as crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, y'all might be a little
You
bit.
have to be a little crazy.
Because
Yeah.
crazy is just thinking differently,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, here goes
And
another
willing
quote.
to go
is,
the extra mile, you know,
yeah.
work
Yeah.
the 14 to 15 hours a day rather than just your standard 8.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's a
I mean,
hell of a
I don't
time
even
right
think
now.
of time. I just think of getting the job done, you know. And, you know, speaking of quotes, here goes one. They call me crazy for being myself, and I think they're crazy for trying to be like everyone else, man. Everybody else has got the trends. You know, we're making trends. Everybody else is following them. That's the big studios. That's the biggest problem with studios, and they don't believe in young artists that are powerful. They don't believe in them because they're chasing trends, but these artists, they're the ones making trends, you know.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the studio goes in that direction, and now we're so expensive. That's why they have to spend so much money, because you should have believed in us when we had nothing, but they won't do that. You know, they want to chase those trends.
You know what? You guys will have to, if you're one of the few that really makes it big. I say if because I'm not you. You're the one. You don't have to say if.
Mhm.
You can say when.
Yeah.
Right.
Being me,
Yeah.
because I don't control it, I say if.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
everyone, right?
And
So
That's right.
days more and more right now. I mean, I feel like we're already there.
there you go.
It's just,
right?
you know, it's just
Hard work's
we
been
know
done.
it. It's just a matter of time
Exactly.
before the world knows it.
Yeah. So what about a guy, whether you're fans or not, but it's somebody who's been really successful, Jeff Bezos. He says he has this idea about every one of the employees at Amazon, every day when they wake up, they need to imagine it's day one.
Yeah.
And he said
I
what
really
they're
like
always
that.
protecting about is never having the day two attitude.
Yeah, getting comfortable.
Yep.
Yep.
And so, but I think what happens is, and I've seen it a lot, when people become successful, you start protecting what you've got.
Yes.
So I understand how they get there, and that just opens up opportunities for guys like you.
100%.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
easier to make 10,000 than save 10,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With that aspect.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because I know you're always, if you're just sitting here trying to protect what you got, it's going to go away. Resources go away, man.
Oh, yeah.
You got to reproduce more of them all the time.
You can't get comfortable, and that was a big reason why we decided to partner up and start a company too, was because of the control factor, of course. But when we met, Jack was all in on directing, and I was all in on acting, and there's just only so much you can do unless you're making and creating your own projects. So that's
Yeah.
the thing that the young, hungry guys, and the young and hungry people in general that they have going for them is not only their energy and the willingness to just work, but also you have to be creative in order to break through these doors. Otherwise, I mean, how are you going to stand out from the rest?
Yep. Do you guys think, like, could this be similar in a correlation to Matt Damon and Ben Affleck back in the day? I mean, I'm not trying to say you're like
no,
that, but
I mean, I think very, very much so. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it goes in cycles. Every 2 to 5 years, there's a new Matt Damon, Ben Affleck come out. It's not just them. You know, like my teacher, I studied with this guy named Mike Nichols for 3 years
in New York City.
And look who he brought up. Dustin Hoffman he did like a one-liner in like a TV show or something, and then he gives him the lead role. And he did plays too. He knew he could act, and he auditioned, but his first role was a lead role in The Graduate, and then the Robert Redford. So Mike Nichols' first directorial debut was Barefoot in the Park, the original. And he told, in person, he said the hardest thing about that project was convincing Robert that he still wanted to be an actor. It was before he made it and everything. He didn't know if this was what he wanted to do. But guess what? He convinced him, and they pushed forward. And now Robert Redford's a legend, and Mike Nichols his movies won't be forgotten, or plays. So it's just every so often we like calling it New Hollywood. Like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. They aren't playing the 20-year-old pretty boys anymore.
Ago, right?
Yeah. They're not playing the pretty boys anymore. Yeah. And now, even like this last decade, no offense to like Chris Helmsworth and everybody, but that decade's getting too old to play.
So it's ready for a new crew.
Exactly.
Oh,
and I think that I know that's ours. I mean, even with the recent success of Matt Rife, he's like a mix between Brad Pitt and Adam Sandler. You can't get that combination every day. Super fit, good looking, but funny as hell, and also humble and sweet. He's got that Adam type. But I do believe we're New Hollywood. And you know what I really love about it is everybody in the crew has been blowing up, that we've been working with. It's not, Matt's blown up, but we, KJ Smith, all these big actors, they just,
So now's your time,
they're just
guys.
real. Exactly.
So Mo's a real thing. Momentum is a real thing.
Real thing. Everything's moving faster right now, especially for us. Like it used to take time.
Selective of who you work around and who you play around and surround yourselves with.
Yeah. You got to make sure you capture this moment in time, because there's no guarantee this momentum comes back.
No.
Absolutely.
There's and it's always about getting that next 15 minutes of fame. You know how they say 15 minutes of fame. It's about recreating that 15 minutes of fame all the time, because even if you're Brad Pitt, it only lasts 15 minutes, and then you got to do something else. And now it's working even faster with these TikToks and everything. You got 30, 60 seconds. And they got to do something else. You can't just live off that same moment. And there's a book, it's called 48 Laws of Power. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. There's this one chapter about slow time, I think it was called medium time and fast time. But there's like 3 different times it's talking about, and you have to utilize all 3 of these, okay? With The Private Eye, for example, I started that movie over 10 years ago. I wrote it.
What took you so damn long?
Well, that's patient time. There's I wish it was moving as fast as I wanted it to, but I learned patience, and that's the only reason I'm sitting here with you today, is because I took my time and I didn't rush it and push it out. There's plenty of artists that do things too fast instead of letting it marinate and really creating this foundation. But then there's also times where this is your moment. You better
be urgent.
Strike now.
Right.
Strike now. So that's us.
That's now.
Yeah.
That's
100%. 100%.
Whereas if we would have tried to force The Private Eye 8 years ago, when we were just building everything, I mean, it would not have been nearly as great as it is today.
And there goes the adaptability. I was reading something about Reservoir Dogs. Like, there was one point where he was like, "Screw it, I'm making this for $40,000." And then the producer, I forget the producer's name. Anyway, the producer's like, no, let me find the money. Give me like 2 to 4 months. And Tarantino's like, okay. And then he raises $2 million. So, that was a good budget.
So he had to know what to do, right? Or if he would have done it for the $40,000 and wouldn't have had faith to let the guy do his thing, it wouldn't have been the same.
It would have struggled.
No,
yeah. So it's good he was patient for that.
Sure.
How many, we call it Hollywood. Let's just call it, like, I think of you guys. I'm like, man, there's a couple young guns.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Like, we got a couple young guns in the business. You guys
definitely more than just Hollywood.
right?
I'll give you that
yeah.
much. Oh,
like
yeah.
So I think Hollywood now that's an old term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like entertainment now.
Yeah, and it's not even a place. Hollywood's not a place
There you go.
anymore.
There you go.
know,
Yep.
it's just it's a thing. It is entertainment.
It's happening everywhere. Like, look what Rogan did with comedy and took him to Austin.
Austin.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
That's insane,
yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
And then you have this
100%.
guy. I don't know if you guys follow the podcast too much, but there's this guy, Patrick Bet-David. He's
Okay.
PBD Podcast.
Okay.
But he went down to Florida, and he now has created – it's wild what he's doing. But he's put together a crew of people. His podcast, but he talked about yesterday – I don't know who he was talking to, but he talked about making it a mecca
Yeah.
of entertainment
Yeah.
down in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so people are starting to realize this. So the question is, in Cincinnati –
Mm-hmm.
do you guys have to make it that big? Do you have to do what Rogan did with comedy down there? Does it have to be that big for film and for entertainment here, or can you do it a little less small?
You know what? I've thought about this. I've played because I've had the opportunity, if I really wanted to go at it, to start a sound stage in Cincinnati. You know, I've got a possible location and everything. But you think about it like this. You think about it, all right, what did I come here to do?
Yeah.
You know,
what do we want to focus our time on?
Because
too?
time is everything.
Yeah.
You know, do I want to spend my time on making movies, or do I want to spend my time on running a sound stage?
You're making
and,
movies. You
want
wanna
to
make movies.
Yeah.
So,
And so,
exactly.
the beautiful thing about movies is they happen everywhere. So we want to film as much as we can in Cincinnati, but there's sometimes where you need a beach.
So this
or-
is going to be your base of operations.
Yeah,
one
right.
of them.
One of them,
Yeah, because we're in L.A. and Hollywood too, and I'm there like literally every other week lately. I'm in Hollywood or Cincinnati or New York because we're promoting. But the beautiful thing is like, so our good friend named Eric Roberts, he's an actor. He's been acting for years, and
He was a lot of martial arts stuff and everything. Wasn't
Best
he?
of the
yeah.
best.
Isn't that Julie
Nominated
Roberts'
for-
brother?
yes,
Oh, yeah.
and Emma Roberts' dad.
Well, he was
too.
famous first. Don't
He was
forget
famous
that.
first
Hell,
before all of them.
Sorry, here we
Make
go. He's
sure
got something
y'all
to say
know
about
that.
it, right?
Yeah.
He's like, no, she's my sister.
Yeah, I'm not her brother.
My younger
Yeah,
sister.
No, but no, he actually loves he loves his family, and their family is very talented. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
when you've got 3 people that made it, you know, Eric's, like you said, best of the best, but also nominated for
Runaway
an Oscar
Train.
for Runaway Train. And
He looks like he wants to kill people, y'all.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm just saying he's got that look.
hey, have you
I
seen
mean,
the Expendables or
I wouldn't be
something?
I'm
surprised.
just telling you, like, he reminds me of like Peter Bronson back in the old days, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Eric Roberts just looks like, even if he's nice as hell,
Yeah.
he just looks like he wants to kill
Kill some-
somebody.
Hey man, I'll tell you, you
He
would
plays
love
a great
him.
mobster.
Right?
He does.
Oh, yeah.
He does play
Dark
a good
Knight.
bad guy.
Yeah.
But no, I love Eric, and what were we just saying about him? Well, it was about I forget. Anyway, it's Eric is an amazing actor,
What were we
talented
just
person,
saying
and
about him?
everything.
So
Well, shout out to his wife though, Eliza.
Eliza
Something that
Roberts.
you mentioned being Hollywood and whatnot. So Eliza, she's been a mentor for us now for years.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
is my active manager and just has helped guide me in the industry. But so when she first met Jack and I, and when Eric first worked with us, immediately they told us, Eric wants to work on everything you guys do for the rest of his life. And Eric told us that directly, too, over dinner one night. And Eliza, she grew up in the Hollywood industry. Her grandmother was a writer and, and just very family well-connected.
She's
she-
actually an actress in Animal House.
Yeah,
if
she's
you
a
ever
great
seen that.
actress
Time ago.
herself. She does casting. She does it all. She also has quite the eye for selecting people and seeing things in
Seeing
people.
talent.
And it's funny because she'll select talent and put everything into them, and next thing you know, they're the next big thing. Like Matt Rife, for an example.
so just
or
behind the scenes.
David Duchovny.
Yeah, David
and-
Duchovny she brought up, Matt Rife, and they'll
she
say it.
told
David
Jack
Duchovny.
and I that she admires and loves what we do so much because the way we do it is how Hollywood was built. We wear every single hat, from the writing and the development of it to the production of it, the post-production of it, distribution of it, on set. I mean,
Yeah,
Is that where it's going now? Is that where movies are going right now? Because
it's very hard to say that. It is because it happens every 4 to 5 years, okay? I mean, it happened with Paranormal Activity. It happened with, but the thing is you have to do we make movies, okay? Most people that are doing the big union jobs, they do their work. They got their job. So like I hire you as a carpenter, a gaffer, a makeup artist. You go there to do makeup for
light guy, or
lighting
whatever.
guy. You
Yeah.
go there to do. Elliot and I, we're just trying to make a phenomenal movie. So, I don't care, And
is that where the Cincinnati work ethic comes in? This
Yes.
Midwest work ethic?
Yeah,
we
you
like to
have
think
no
so.
hesitation to do it all.
Yes,
No, yeah,
exactly.
so
and it's easy to
We're
us.
definitely growing to the day where
compared to-
Jack's only focused on directing.
Yeah, I
and
want that. Okay,
I'm just
'Cause
acting. But
yeah.
right now, I mean, we still run around like crazy men a lot of days, and
Oh yeah.
it's actually kind of it's rare when it's a day on set and we can just kind of focus on doing our
Just
you know,
that.
our
How can you guys be independent though and still really get these movies and get in front of the right people and it has the right presence and it connects with human beings?
Yeah.
How can you do that being independent? I'm assuming that, right? You consider yourselves independent?
This is a way to say
Well,
it. We are independent
yes,
for sure, and this is
absolutely.
the best way to explain that.
because we're
is
walking on the ground, 2 feet
compare
on the ground.
Yeah, well, and we compare our company with Universal and Lionsgate. Most people compare their company to smaller to them. So what we do exactly what they do. All right, they might have $100 million, but there's still ways to do that. Like for example, a billboard guy. That billboard might cost $3,000 for the month or $15,000 for the month. But if you know the billboard guy, guess what? You can get it for free, So there's using your favors and realizing you need to be just like those guys. What are they doing? You do exactly what they're doing, and then guess what? You'll think of things that nobody does. We just did things the last 2 weeks that nobody ever heard of, but it was so successful. It was called a movie poster reveal. Everybody we
Yeah.
talked to,
Who
nobody
does movie posters anymore?
No,
That's
yeah,
like the
yeah.
60s, 50s,
Well,
70s.
even back
Oh,
then,
yeah.
nobody has a reveal.
And we
Everybody
hired the
was,
best
yeah.
of the best to hand draw our posters.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
we
his
wanted
name is Steve
quality,
Chorney.
the highest of quality, and
Yeah.
and we want our pieces to be timeless, to
Yeah.
last forever.
And this is it. That's a drawing, actually. That's our movie poster. And Steve Chorney did that. He was also the artist of, you ever heard of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah, oh yeah.
He drew
Hell of a
that movie poster.
Hell of a
Have
movie.
you ever heard of the movie The Great Escape with
Yeah, oh,
Steve
yeah.
McQueen? He
Yeah,
drew
man.
that movie
That was
poster.
a long time ago.
Oh, he's 74.
And
I
so
hope you don't
many
mind me
more.
telling your age, Steve. But
Yeah.
no, he is the best of the best, and that's what we try to compare ourselves to these big companies and do it the way they do it, because we got an advantage. We know what they do. They don't know where we're coming from. That's why when we say movie poster reveal to all, even our industry people, they're like, "What is this?
Yeah.
What is that?" Well, hey, we'll get used to it because it works, and we're
just
going
wanna
to keep
bring
on
people
doing
together
it.
and celebrate all the hard work that we've been doing and that everyone around us has been doing too, and just create the buzz. And you should have seen what we first sent Steve when we were reaching out to him.
I'll
to-
show you after the.
Oh, it was
yeah.
like
It was like
this is
stick figures.
Yeah, stick figures and floating heads, and then he sent us back for just example drawings and
And you wouldn't believe it. You
Wow.
would think they're
Yeah.
pictures. They're
So
so
good.
lifelike.
All right, so if you guys are really shaking it up and taking a different approach to this thing,
Yes.
there's going to be some haters.
Oh, we've got them, and
What do you
Bring
do?
'em on.
What do you do with them?
we love them. Hey,
that's how you know you're doing something right, right?
yeah, it's crazy. Like in the journey, like I need the love and support, but the haters drive me more in the journey than ever before. And I've seen haters in my journey. Now that I'm succeeding, haters come back to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you. Always knew you could." And I remember you vividly saying exactly what you said and how you doubted me. It
Yep.
kept me driving and
But
going.
what do you do when they come to you and say, "I always knew you would"? What do you got to do though?
I smile and I shake their hand
Yep.
and I say,
Take a
"Thank you
picture
for
with
your
them,
support."
Sign every autograph, whatever
You're
they
not-
want.
yeah, you can't have that ego. That
No.
it doesn't even matter. Like you realize once you get to the point, it doesn't even matter. Like
Use them for what they can give you in the future. Then
exactly.
right?
And
I
they've-
mean, I specifically remember a few of my people I grew up with, and and back then it was, you had a select few of really close friends, but a lot of friends are more just party friends or whatever it may be. And when I told people I was moving out to LA to be an actor and a movie star, a lot of people were like, "Great, do it. I believe in you." And there was always the few that would be like, "You're crazy. We'll see you when you come back," or
Yeah.
just little things like that. And it's funny because those are the ones that you're like, "Oh,
That
you
hurts.
will see me when I come
Yeah,
back.
that
I'm gonna
hurts.
come back filming movies in your
Yeah.
backyard."
Yeah, those people that say, "Who do you think you are?"
yeah,
Doing this thing and creating this studio and stuff, right?
100%.
Low key, they're just a little jealous, maybe.
You know
or
what it
just
is?
wish that they could do it.
That's it, guys.
Yeah.
they're sad for themselves.
Yeah.
And I think if you put that in the right contextual place, you don't hate them and you're not mad at them.
I don't. Yeah,
right.
they
But it
were.
drives-
I'm not
it can
trying
drive
to
you.
prove
It
anybody
drives
wrong.
me.
I'm not
Yeah.
trying to
You know.
prove myself right either. I'm just trying to do what I want to
your
do
thing.
with my life. And
Well,
Yeah.
even
love every
several
day.
of the studios, you bringing up
big
haters.
haters.
Let
That's
me
the one-
let me
that's the
tell
ones
you
that
some
could drive
things.
you.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I won't name drop any,
Yeah.
but like there is studios that we have we've been talking about this movie. We officially finished in February of last year, like with
Private
the
Eye.
Post, with the Post.
Yeah.
So what's the official name of the
Pushing
movie?
in March.
The Private Eye.
The Private Eye.
Yeah,
Okay.
and and we're trying to hype it up to different investors and studios, and we're like, even when Matt was gaining momentum, Matt really about a year and a half ago to 2 years ago, Matt was releasing his own stand-ups, like his hour specials, and they started gaining traction, and then
funding them himself too.
Oh yeah, and just last year. He started getting traction. Nothing like now. Like, his Netflix special comes out November 15th. But Netflix wouldn't give him the chance. Well, and so
Yeah.
anyway, February, we're finished. We start pitching it around, and, we get some lowball offers. And this is before
It's
Matt
very
blew up.
standard, basic
Yeah.
offers
Bullshit.
that
Bullshit.
It was bullshit.
Which
And-
a lot of young filmmakers that have a completed film, they're just looking for anybody to accept it.
Let me
or
get 25
make 'em
grand from
promise.
someone.
Yeah,
Let me
dude.
get
Making
50 grand
promises.
so I can pay my bills a little bit. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm just
Well,
even
so,
a couple hundred's nothing.
Right.
so
but
we're
if you
pitching
realize
this.
you could do the work yourself
Yeah.
and get so much bigger.
Yeah,
Then,
well,
I mean,
that's
go ahead,
what's
Jack.
that's
Yeah.
what's
You're
being
pitching it.
forced to happen, because like we're pitching it and like they're giving us no ball offers, and we're like, this kid we got, man, well, he's just only like 5-6 years younger than me, but anyway, we're like, man, he's about to blow up, he's the next big thing, and they nobody believes in us, and they're like, whatever, and we even have a screening to have investors. Shout out to Jake Sweeney Automotive. We actually. Had the screening in their they have like a screening private theater, and they've really supported us a lot and have been helping out. And so anyway, we invite like 150 people or so in the screening, and we're like, hey, Matt's about to blow up, this, that, and like, you want to get in now. 2 weeks later, Matt blew up, and everybody at that event is telling us, oh, you were right, blah, blah, blah. And then we start getting more offers from these distribution companies, but they're still they're ridiculous. The offers that they made us. In our minds, we're like, whoa, you don't understand, obviously.
Especially when you look at how long it's been that we've been building this project.
They don't
I
care
mean,
about
10
that, do
No,
they?
they do
They
not.
don't give a
They
shit
do
about
not.
any of
They
that.
follow trends. They
Yeah.
don't make them. They
That's it.
follow those trends.
But Jack and I were like, we at least need to make enough to where it makes
You can do it again.
every year worthwhile.
yeah, we
and
spent
so that
10
we
years.
can do it again.
Yeah.
So if somebody would have come to you and you would have said, "Oh, that's a great offer," then you're taking it. Can you throw out the number? If somebody came to you with that, you don't have to counter it. No negotiation. But like not astronomical, just like, "Oh, that's a moonshot. That's good."
Yeah,
They would
yeah.
have said how much, and you get to distribute, own whatever our movie.
Yeah. Oh, so you own the whole thing?
Well, I don't know. Tell
No,
me what
no.
owning it means.
Owning it means like
They
you
control
get the
every
Full
part of it.
rights
Yeah,
for
yeah.
life.
for whole rights for life. I mean, the low ball offer would have been like $10 million.
Okay. And
Low
so,
ball.
all right. So I mean low ball.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
No. They were, dude, the number, I'm not even going to tell you the numbers they
Stupid.
offered. I was just
Stupid.
like, dude, you obviously don't understand. And that's been going on the whole time, though. But I think that's what makes somebody.
Yeah, and
right
I think
there.
a
That,
lot
like,
of
you know.
like people that sit up on the high chairs and and the execs at some of these big distribution companies, I think they're trained to just discourage filmmakers or young artists, and so they'll be like, oh, I don't know if that's the best idea for you, but let me have it and I'll take care of it for
Yeah.
you and wrap it up in a pretty bow. And it's like, but we could do that ourselves. We can go around and pitch it to everybody.
Well, and that on that note, something that's crazy that we found out is, all these big people, you want their advice and you want your help because you want it easier for yourself. That's the only reason you work with other people. So it's off your back and you make it easier, and they've already done it before, blah, blah, blah. There's so many companies that were telling us what the theaters would think about our movie. I'm talking about like
Listen to this story,
10 large companies that were telling us, oh, this, that about your movie. You need to fix this. You need to fix that. So we actually have they didn't know this, but we have personal relationships with these theaters, like big theater chains, like the biggest. And so like
3-letter chains.
Yes.
Okay,
big one. So we, eventually I was like, this is ridiculous. I got to just see what these guys say personally. Man, they freaking loved it.
Yeah.
And so like everything that all these other people thought, like, oh, this is what they were trying to tell us what the theater said. So for entrepreneurs that are watching this, I think that's a very important lesson is, in a way, don't trust anybody but yourself. Like take all, and listen though, don't shut them down. Like I never was like, oh, no, I'm going to do it this way. I let you talk.
Yeah.
You give me all the
take
info
any
you
advice,
want, and I'll use some of their advice, but don't let other people talk for other people, because that person,
Yeah, how do we know what to listen to, though? Isn't it tough what we're talking about
You just got to
here?
listen to your heart and your gut.
Right
and
there,
exactly. If you really believe in something, really believe something is worth a certain amount or just worth it and it's worthwhile, then bet on yourself.
Yeah.
Bet on yourself, because nobody else is going to work as hard for you as you're going to work for yourself, and nobody's going to believe in you as much as you can believe in yourself.
And that's where it starts getting scary. Is
Yeah.
like if you do trust somebody else, like imagine you get a huge company to like, you just got this project, it's perfect, in your own mind, something's going to happen. Like, I'm not saying the movie's perfect. I mean, we had a lower budget, but what happened was perfect. The movement was perfect. It was more than a movie. It was a movement. Imagine, you go to one of these big companies and you trust them. I trust what you do. But then they tell you all this advice that in a way it's like it's negative. And really what it is they don't want to do the work, and they just want money.
They just want to do it their way. They want to do it the way they've learned to do it.
And not forcing anything either, letting it be organic and natural. And perfect example of that is the story Jack just told too, where these studio or distribution execs will tell us what the theaters are going to tell us, where these guys, we had the pressure for them just to watch our movie, and then they watch 15 minutes of the movie and give us their advice after that. Whereas the theaters directly, we didn't have to pressure them to watch it, and they came back, watched the whole movie, loved it, and didn't even know who Matt Rife is. And so
they
it's
just
like
love the movie.
They love the movie for what it was, where other people were there just seeing
all they
dollar
see is Matt
signs
Rife, and like
and we love Matt.
Yeah, we love and
don't get me wrong, and
his
he
fans
killed
will
this
love
role.
this movie, but it's definitely bigger piece of the puzzle than just a Matt Rife movie.
So how's it come together? Because you probably landed him to play the lead role before anybody knew him.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Right. When
we
did you
on
land
two
this?
movies with him?
3, 4, 5 years.
2019 and 2020.
No, so what we did is so back, I mean, our first article that came out, it was a Cincinnati. It was called the Tri-County Press. I'm not sure if you
Small
heard of
with
it.
my
Yeah,
habit.
it's up in like where Tri-County Mall is.
Yeah.
It was like that whole area. It was their newspaper. I think Cincinnati Enquirer ended up buying it, or it was a substitute of that.
Yep.
Anyway, that was our first interview in 2014 about this movie. Eric Roberts, we had his name in it too. It was long time ago, and I the first original script, the first draft, I wrote in 4 days, 14 to 16-hour days. I just pumped it out, 90 pages, bum, 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 bum. And then it took.
Jack got in the maniac mode.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say, we ain't going to talk about what was
Oh,
going
yeah.
on there.
Oh,
We'll
my
stick
God.
with caffeine.
Yeah,
We'll stick with
yeah.
caffeine.
No, yeah, it was not like
copy.
that. It was the dream, like if you really want something, it's just like Kobe Bryant, you know what I mean? Like the
But
whole
something
all
happened
the
for you at that
stories.
moment, and you
Yeah.
sat down and did it.
Oh yeah,
Something struck.
I knew what I had to do, and I knew that where I wanted to be. Like that's the whole thing. Compare yourself with the greatest. Even if you don't make it to the greatest, even if you fail, you win. You know what I mean? Like, hey, shoot, I'm the next Michael Jordan if you're a basketball. That's who your competition should be, because even if you get half of what Michael Jackson is, you'll still be a millionaire.
Jordan and
NBA.
Jackson.
Yeah.
Jordan
So,
and Jackson,
but this isn't any
I
different.
meant Michael
than-
Jordan.
So
sorry.
we'll get back on that, but this is the same as what Sylvester Stallone did back in the day.
Oh yeah.
He traveled this path with Rocky.
100%.
He believed in himself, and he
Yeah.
wasn't going to take no for an answer.
Oh,
He
they
wasn't
tried to
gonna
kick
go
him out of that. They
below
offered
what he
him
believed he
Nothing.
deserved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and they said, well, we're not going to buy the movie. You're not going to. He's like, okay.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Right.
And you have to have that. There has to be a
Be
something.
willing to walk.
You gotta have cojones, if you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
you gotta be sure of yourself for sure.
So go back to 2014.
Okay.
Because you probably thought, we talked about it before the podcast, but every time you make a plan,
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
some high 90-something%, it just doesn't work out.
No,
that
and it
way.
didn't work out. So, like, we think we're going to film this year, and I'm raising all this money. And,
So we were going around pitching it everywhere we could pitch it to. And
yeah. And then something funny was all the investors were like, oh, I only do horror films. Like, a neo-noir drama, mystery romance.
Yeah, that was the fad at the time.
Yeah,
horror films are always going to be killer.
Yeah. So anyway, we eventually, one time, we, say after 4 years or 5 years pitching it, we had to adapt and move around. And so we actually even shelved The Private Eye and stopped focusing on that. And then we focused on a horror film. That's the one we're filming in Kentucky, actually. And that was a crazy story in itself. But as we're, working on this new project, we finally get everything in order where we are able to film this movie. And 2020, the first week of March happens. And we literally have 3 projects. We have one in India, a Soul to Squeeze, and I actually forget what the other one is. But they were all ready to go. 2020 hit. Boom. Hey, we shut down. Let's see where we're at in a month. And so we thought by May, we were like, oh, we're going to be back on the game.
May of 20.
Yeah. We thought we were going to be back on the game. Nope. And so we adjusted again. We adapted to the situation, and we were like, well, we got The Private Eye on a shelf, and
can't do nothing.
Can't do nothing. So, and in my mind as a director, I thought Matt was perfect for the lead role of this Mort Madison. So,
we just worked with him on a movie the year before. So
yeah, and so everybody loved his acting. I mean, he really had it, man, and he cared. And so Elliot and Elliot was already cast in the movie before this too. So it was Elliot, Hope Ayi, and I call Matt, and I'm like, hey, Matt, I want you to be the lead. This is his first lead role. And I was like, man, this is it, man. You're the best for this role. I think you got it. I want you to come on board. And he came on board of May of 2020, and we were planning to film in September 2020. So we, this is another thing for entrepreneurs. You got to have that plan, and no matter what,
deadline.
Set your deadline.
We thought we were going to have our goal budget by then, and we probably had half of it.
We didn't have our full
budget.
budget.
Each other and we're like,
started shooting anyway.
Oh yeah,
anyway.
Oh yeah.
And as soon as we called action, the rest of the budget just rolled in
for that project.
As soon as people see you actually making moves,
and
they
that's
want a piece
scary.
of it.
Yeah, nobody wants to invest in your business if it's not doing it.
You
if you're not
do the
doing
work.
it.
You got to do the work.
People will invest in a business that's doing it.
Production's rolling. Oh, they must be in good shape.
They're
Let's go and fund this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about ideas, So anyway, that was a big, that's a risk factor that you have to do. We didn't know what we were going to do.
Money's a real thing. You got it. You have to have it.
You have to have it.
You have
and the
to.
way Matt is too. I mean, we worked so well together because as soon as he said yes, I mean, he just got so involved in the whole process of it too. And
he helped make it
the way we are. And we want everybody that's in our circle to win, and we want everybody to be equal, and that's why we like to say working horizontal too, just because we're all friends, we're all family, and when you're working with people who you already get along with outside of work, it just makes work life a lot
can you get a
easier
lot
and
better,
more
right?
Fun, yeah.
Can you guys do this so you're going to act in all the movies that are written? You're going to, in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll tell them why we started the business.
Well, we started the business so that Jack could direct the ones he wanted to direct, and I get, the best role for me or whichever role I want. And all along the way, we both are producing, though, too.
See, that's awesome. So this is similar. So there are, I'm just thinking about this without being your guys' industry, but aren't there relationships like Adam Sandler, and aren't there 2 or 3 guys that are in those movies
all the time?
Always,
No,
yeah.
that's
So they're writing these movies
with
them in mind too, aren't
sure.
they?
Oh,
well,
yeah.
100%.
The David Spades
100%.
and the Kevin Jameses and
Yeah, you
all
have
these
your
guys.
clique, your crew. I mean, because people consider them famous just because
Chris
they're
Rock.
shown a lot and everything. But those guys, they just see each other like
They're just
me and
boys.
him. Yeah,
They're
yeah.
just
I
tight,
look
man.
You, yeah, exactly.
That's all it is. It's like, we got this.
Well, see,
Exactly.
that's working horizontal. Like working vertical is you go out to Hollywood, and this is what everybody thinks they should do. And this is not Mike Nichols, but everybody thinks they should hire the most famous person. And then, but the problem is if you hire the most famous person, he's going to charge you $1 million to $5
Yeah.
Right,
to
top,
like,
right.
And
yeah,
if you're
20.
waiting for the phone to ring from Steven Spielberg to cast you in his project,
Yeah.
It ain't going to ring.
Yeah, good
it's
luck.
not going to ring.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and then Steven Spielberg did it just like us too. That guy snuck on the Universal lot back in the day. I don't know if you knew that. He snuck on. He had 3.
Well, they just had the movie. The Fablemans was about, and they touched
exactly.
on that a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
and he was born in Cincinnati.
Yep.
Fablemans, Cincinnati was in that. But no, I think it's very important to trust in the art process compared to trusting in fame. Like fame, man, you might pick your favorite actor. Who's your favorite actor?
Man, I don't know if I have a favorite, but I think I just like good movies, man. I really do. Like, I don't know if I have who's a favorite actor of somebody when I see. Okay, I know who it is. I know who it is. English guy. He's older now. Generation in front of us. From Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah, Anthony Hopkins.
Dude.
But you that might be your favorite actor, but
here we go.
You don't know who he is. I don't know who he is either. I've met one person who knows him and loves him. I've seen
the
guy.
interviews. He seems like he's an awesome human.
Guy. Yeah. And he's a great actor.
And I think that's why I like him, because it's like, man, I think he's an awesome
human side to him.
And I've watched his stuff, and he's like, I don't know Shakespeare like you guys do, but he's like, he loves Shakespeare. And he was in the theater in England or wherever.
Yep.
I just follow the story a little bit, and I'm like, this guy is a true. He's like, he's elite.
Yeah, he's doing it for the movie though.
He's elite. That's what I'm saying. Like he is
passion.
Like, yes. He's like the best of the best because he really cares about the craft.
Oh yeah.
So I think all that stuff.
Those are everybody who makes it.
Otherwise, why are you doing it?
That's why I get. Do it to be great.
Yeah, and everybody who makes it, they're all very similar to that, and where they will give up everything in their life. No more parties, no more this. Just focusing on your craft.
Yep.
And we saw that firsthand too on sets with Matt.
Yeah. Matt,
one
KJ,
of the most disciplined people I've ever met. Yeah, KJ Smith.
KJ
too.
Smith the same way.
Yep.
You're so proud of these people when they blow up because you're like, yeah, you did it. You didn't go out and try to go party and drink a lot or whatever.
We've
he
worked
was
with
focused
the other
on
side of people too, and that's also why
they
we're
fall
like,
out.
damn, we gotta really hit the nail on the head and
do shit right.
Do our own shit right.
You got to do it right. And I think what you guys are starting to see, so I'm probably a decade ahead of you in time and just all the extra experience I have. And it's what we're starting to see on this podcast of really successful entrepreneurs and people that, not just entrepreneurs, they're really successful in their field.
Yeah.
It's the same story, guys.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same shit. It doesn't matter to your guys. It's like the public might see them as like they're a superstar.
Yeah.
You know the behind the scenes.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know the grit and the grind and all the shit that person had to do.
Exactly.
They're not an overnight success, boys.
No.
It takes 10 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people say, so don't listen to all the bullshit, right?
No.
So this movie that's going to come out The Private Eye.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to be in? Will I be able to go down to a local theater and see it? Is that what'll happen?
Yes. So it's it'll be all theatrical actually in February. It'll be in.
It'll start off in 50 territories, and then we'll
branch off to the
there.
world.
Yeah.
We actually have been speaking to a group in Africa that owns, I think it's like 700 to 900 theaters.
Yeah.
And then like all around the world, there's Indian theaters and China. Europe's gonna love this. Australia.
See, that shit we don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, what was funny to me is when Tina Turner passed away, the actress, she lived in Switzerland.
Yeah.
She was like top dog in Europe.
Yeah.
Like, she was really popular here.
Yeah.
But they loved her, and it's like, what do you mean? Europe loves her? We can't connect because we're American, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing, who was the guy that was on Baywatch? Who was the big star?
Oh, yeah.
David
Hasselhoff.
Yep.
So he went to Germany.
Yeah.
He was like the most famous person in all of Germany.
What's funny about that is Eric Roberts calls himself the Elvis of Russia.
Yeah.
No shit. He kind of looks that way, though.
Yeah.
He's got that strong jawline and all that stuff.
Sure, yeah.
So you guys have to know the world.
Yeah.
You have to know all these different segments.
Oh, it's great. It's great opportunities, like every.
And that's why I was saying too, we're worldwide, not just LA and Cincinnati, but it's nice to have LA and Cincy as our home base because LA is, where a lot of the magic happens. But Cincinnati is where we can, we can just really get back to our roots. And it's, it's like being a big fish in a small pond in a way, but we can kind of break grounds that haven't been broken yet, and by doing that, you can grow and knock down more doors, and then learn.
So there's a little twinkle in your eyes. He's talking.
Yeah.
What do you
Well,
think?
I was just thinking of this past week, and we brought one of our actors who's, he's a big Hollywood actor. His name's Denzel Whitaker. I mean, he was in movies he was actually the lead actor in The Great Debaters, and he was in Black Panther and
Training Day.
Training Day was his first movie, and so he's done big things. But we made sure when he came to Cincinnati, and the producer Hope Ayiyi, who's from L.A., we made sure they were picked up in a limo. We took them right to Pepe Raimundo's. relatives. We made sure, Paulo the jeweler in Clifton, we made sure they had a good time. And then we went to Jeff Ruby's, private room steakhouse. We tried.
Which room did you get? Did you get the sommelier room, the first one on the right when you walk in?
That's the one, I guess.
That's a good room.
Oh,
with that
my
round
table.
table.
Yep, that's the
That's
one.
a good room.
Oh, man. It was, and that was
And
Jeff
the steaks,
Ruby.
though?
Yeah.
Woo.
Oh, shout out to Jeff Ruby.
Yeah,
I mean,
shout
he
out
really
to
helped
Uncle
us
Jeff.
out with that, Uncle Jeff. But no, we just, and then the rest of the weekend, we actually opened our doors. We had a party where we revealed the movie poster and opened our doors in Glendale for the first time.
That was a lot of blue.
Oh, it is. That's have you seen our company logo?
I do a little research. It's my job.
Yeah.
There's a lot of blue in there.
A lot of blue and
a lot
gold.
Of blue and gold. Don't forget about the gold.
Yeah, I just hear all the bling. I see what's happening.
So we made it the same color as our logo, which is blue and gold. And we want, when you're in that studio, we want all you to think about it. All you want is gold.
Why?
Because that's what I want.
Well,
I want golden thoughts.
Again, you
I
go
want
back
golden,
to the pirate theme, and where did pirates spend most of their lives? On the open water.
Searching for gold.
The deep blue sea.
Yep.
Searching for gold.
Yeah. And then, and then we went to the Film Cincinnati. Like, Film Cincinnati's really doing a great job. Yeah, the backlot. They had their biggest event this past Saturday at Lunken Airport, and it was
good.
Oh, it was packed.
It was a whole immersive experience too. They had sets where you could get in, and for people who aren't in the industry, you could take pictures and act like you're,
an
on
actor,
a movie
a star.
set, and exactly. Yeah.
No, like I said,
my parents went to. They loved it.
Yeah. Christian Slotman and Doris Owens really did a lot of great things for Cincinnati movies, and and Amy Majerski and Nancy Collini.
Are you guys? You asked me on my damn podcast. Are you guys allowed to say a favorite actor or actress? Are you allowed to? Can you do that?
I mean,
yeah,
sure,
100%.
It's always been hard for me to answer that question.
My favorite actor is Elliot.
Yeah.
Oh, boom! Drop the
right
mic.
He's been
telling me that.
Is this all day long?
Ever since we met and really had that moment where we're like, we're gonna take over the world together, aren't we? He's always told me, "You're my actor." You're my actor.
Uh-oh. Hey.
But
his wife gets mad about it.
He's got a lot of great actors in his reservoir. But
so who's your favorite? Like, or a really good one?
So for me, this is how I answer that question. I try to develop my career around 3 different actors. I want to be seen as an actor and known as an actor like Marlon Brando.
I was going to say him earlier.
I want to pick movies and select roles like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Good answer.
And I want to produce movies and hit the business side of it like Brad Pitt.
Well said. That was really good.
So that's my answer to that question. That's
don't wait and shoot for the stars here, boys.
Hey, well, you know what? I mean, you asked me, so I gotta go all the way. I'm
like
a Leo, so I gotta.
There's context behind it, though. That's good.
The spotlight a little bit.
It's not just because this is it. There's context.
It took me years to come up with that answer because I would get asked my favorite movies all the time or favorite actor. Or, what made you want to do this? And I mean,
those are bullshit questions.
Yeah, because my
bullshit.
favorite movies. Yeah, I have favorite movies over the course of my lifetime, but that could change any given day. You know? So
because we evolve, like who I am in 10 years might actually like a movie differently than I
right.
saw.
Exactly.
Oh, and that happens.
And to stay open-minded about it all, you have to stay open-minded, right?
Oh, yeah,
especially as an
I mean, look at that. That's a truth because you look at kids movies when you liked when you were a kid, and you rewatch it in your 20s, and you're like, holy moly, I can't even believe I could watch that.
Yeah, And then other movies you watched as a kid and you didn't get it at all, and you watch as an adult, and you're like, oh shit.
You know what
that's
movie's
like
funny like that
ever.
is not to. And I love is Face Off. Like when I was a kid, man, that was the best
Nicolas
movie.
Cage and John
Travolta. I thought, man,
that was a cool. But now it's like,
I rewatched it and I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, there's one scene that's hilarious. It's in the beginning, like Nicolas Cage. He's in the middle of a mall and plants a bomb, and then he goes, he's walking out of the mall, and there's a choir singing, and he goes up behind one of the choir girls and starts dancing in the middle of the mall behind this girl, and I'm just like, what in the world is going on right now? But when I was a kid, man, that was like the movie.
It was a cool movie.
Yeah.
And
then it doesn't make any sense too, by the way, like the way they cut off the skin and that was
a whack. That movie messed with my brain a little bit, man.
Yeah,
it did a little bit. I'm like, what if that really happens?
Yeah.
Like maybe that's what was good about the movie. It put a thought in my brain for the first time. Like,
It was entertaining.
Really had to use the imagination.
But you rewatch it, you're
Yeah.
like, medically that doesn't make any sense. They put like the skin of the face, they just put it in water or ice or
Hey,
something.
they do this show on Mission Impossible, don't they? They'll give him a new mask or something. Open up the case, and that's who you are now.
Yeah.
Does that stuff
yeah.
work though? Like,
Well,
can you
a mask is real. I mean, you can see some, like that would have made more sense than Face Off. These guys like laser cut the
Yeah, I know.
skin.
Wild
Makes
shit.
me think of
yeah.
The Office. The
Yeah.
episode with
Oh,
Dwight.
with the
skin up
dummy's
from the
face. I
mannequin
just
up.
watched that for the first time recently.
So you invoked Leo. I'm not going to let you off who you have
Okay.
a really good actor, but you brought up Leo, and I was going to bring it up earlier, but here's what I see fascinating without knowing your guys' business is that you said you want to select movies like him.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know why, but a couple weeks ago it popped up. I think it's because this new movie is 3.5 hours long. Something of
Yeah.
a
Oh, yeah.
flower of the summer moon or something.
Yeah, Killers of the
Killer-
Flower
yeah.
Moon.
Yeah, so I was, that's good.
It's
So,
a book. It's a Martin Scorsese
Yeah,
movie. Yeah,
so-
it's real good.
Boy, they're tight now, aren't they?
Oh,
Those two.
they've been
Yeah.
5 movies together. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
Aviator, Departed.
Departed was the
New
first
York.
one, wasn't it?
No, I think it was New York one. Gangs of New York.
Oh,
I
man,
think
what
that
a
was his
movie.
first.
I know.
Yeah.
I loved that movie.
was-
Oh yeah, Daniel
That was
Day-Lewis.
one of those movies that really kind of got me, and
Well-
one of many. I mean, the Titanic too with Leo. I
Hey,
was like, I could
rewatch
play
that movie
role.
and
Gangs of New
listen.
York.
Hey, go rewatch that movie with the Irish person. Your views will change.
Of the guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, because like, have you seen? Rewatch it and listen to the Irish accent from Cameron Diaz and Leonardo DiCaprio.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
But
okay.
then you've got the best actor in the world, like, and I would say, not to be cliche.
Why is he the best?
Because-
Last of the Mohicans for me when I was a kid,
Yeah.
I don't know why I loved the movie, but man, I loved that movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
'Cause there's-
He's good at choosing movies too. I mean, his are a little more boring than.
So you're saying
Leo's.
Daniel Day-Lewis is the best? I've heard that.
I'd say now, like
hard
Marlon
to compete
Brando
with.
was before. It's Marlon Brando and Daniel Day, and like those are the cliche answers because they are like literally They're two different types of acting. Okay,
They
there's
demand your attention too.
Well,
I mean,
he's a method actor. I mean, that
Yeah.
guy, you never lose yourself, so you can always see a little bit. I mean, but this guy, he goes all the way. Like, have you ever seen his first Oscar was for My Left Foot?
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, that guy,
Yep.
he only moved his left foot for months. Like, the crew said they hated him because he would be in a wheelchair. They pick him out every
Is
time.
that
they
the
imagine
method
his
actor where it's
wife?
like you can only talk to them as the
Yes.
role?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
and
That's
so
the
that's
method
him.
part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's him. And then
even
something
at home,
yeah.
even at like offset, off production,
For weeks.
family
Oh,
life.
for months.
yeah.
Months, even years. Like, I mean, this guy, his wife said he hated who he was in Gangs of New York because he would listen to like Eminem, like
He
to
was
get
an, that,
motivated.
that,
like, he was
that,
just an
that
evil
role was
dude.
evil.
Oh, he
that
was an
guy
evil
was
dude.
evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so, that I would say, I don't know if I necessarily, like, it's hard to say he's my favorite actor. I do think he's the best actor because he goes all the way. There's a lot of actors, they just treat it like a job nowadays, and they don't, it's an art to him. All
Yeah.
right. And I really respect that. And,
When
you
the
know,
process too. That's why I love making movies and making our own movies because we actually have the time to rehearse but
Mhm.
prepare. And preparation plus time equals luck, right? That's what
Yep.
a lot of people say.
It's got to feel good to create. though.
Yeah.
oh, yeah. We
yeah.
we were writing today, actually. And, like, writing is probably,
I got over.
you're
Jack's-
playing.
I got to the
yeah.
office at 7 a.m. and we had to put some time into our next film because the
so
Private
busy.
Eye has been
Taking your time.
demanding so much attention from us, and it's great. We couldn't have asked for a better situation to be in. But I mean, we gotta continue setting up our next shot too.
Next shot of pool, baby.
Yeah,
We
right.
gotta,
So with Daniel Day, so I go to Leo. I don't know why it was before we talked about you guys coming on, but for some reason I clicked on it and I went, you know what? Let me figure out who this guy is.
Mhm.
And I looked at all those movies
yeah.
and I went, man, there's not really a miss in here.
No.
No.
Well,
And you know one or two, but there's so
No,
many that are
He
good.
takes his time. He
hey,
comes out
Gangs
with a
of
new
New
movie,
York
what,
is not
every
a bad
2 to
movie.
4
Yeah,
years.
not at all.
But think about this: when
I
he was
love
young,
Gangs
like
of New
what was
York.
it, Gilbert Grape or
Oh.
whatever.
Oh yeah.
But it's
Oh.
like,
What's Eating Gilbert
but
Grape.
yeah, but he wasn't. He was a kid then.
Mhm.
He
Still
wasn't-
amazing.
But he wasn't that smart to know how to pick it then.
Yeah, he was. He was nominated for an Oscar for that movie.
But I
man.
know, but
Well, his
like,
parents really did a good job
That's what
too.
I'm
They
saying.
were both actors too.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
bred him to be a star.
But he was very picky too. I mean, right after Gilbert Grape, he did Basketball Diaries, which
Yep.
is very picky.
that really
you know,
put him
as a
that-
serious actor.
Yeah.
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 And that's a book as well. Like I think you know what it is you notice how many movies he does. Look at his movies and look how many other actors do. Like there's some actors that release 2 to 3 movies a year.
Yeah, such a quick turnaround.
They just want
How
that
can you have
paycheck.
the time to really get into it.
He's gapping them now. There's a bigger gap now.
But I think that's good. I think that's very important.
Well, he can pick them all now.
And it keeps the people waiting and wanting more too.
And something very important for me as I don't even look at movies for just a movie in general. A lot of times I look at the director who made them. You know, the movie's only good as the person who makes it. And you know,
what about the actor? What about Elliot?
That's
why I work with the best director.
Oh,
in the game.
there we go. Yeah,
it actually is. It's really an amazing experience to be able to work together because Jack and I we're with each other every day, talk on the phone every freaking day, and so when we're on set, it's like he can get out of me what he's looking for without even having to say anything to me. He just can, give me a look or give me a nudge or press my buttons a little bit. And
that's what directing is a lot.
Yeah.
You figure out your actor's triggers. You know what I mean? Like and that's why you cast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might have the best director in the world and best actor, but if you guys don't get along or click, that's not going to be a great performance. And you're not going to make a great movie.
So you've got intuition.
You could call it that. I just know I'm very firmly. I know what I want, and I know what I like.
You know.
It's like
when you see
Tarantino
it,
says, "I'm a director, not a selector."
Yeah.
A lot of directors might shoot 100 shots for every scene, and then they go into the editing booth and which one do I want? Where Tarantino and Jack's very similar to that. He's like, I already know how this movie's going.
Oh, it's all in the head.
I already know every shot.
So when you see it's not right, you shoot it again.
Oh, yeah.
And also, if you do it once, if it's good, I got it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We might do one for safety, but there's definitely been times where you only need that's what they call it, one for safety. Like, even though I got it, if some reason that card messes up, and back in the day it was even worse with film, like it would be so finicky, and if you didn't do it more than once, even if that was your best take on the first one, you might lose it. It might get exposed.
And I've worked with a lot of directors before Jack too, and I was always, maybe I was just still young and new to the game and a little insecure, as most actors are.
Well, we all are humans, right?
But but it wasn't until The Private Eye, for real, because we had done a few projects leading up to The Private Eye, to where when Jack was like, "We got it, let's move on," where I was like, "All right, we got it, let's move on," rather than be like, "Are you sure we got it? Are you sure?
Well, actors
promise me that we got it."
Actors, like, there's two extremes with actors. Either they worry all about like what they're doing, how they look, and like if they got it, and then there's the other actor that just trusts you.
That's your job.
Yeah,
that's your job to know they look good, right?
Yeah. And I think it's not even two actors. I think it's like the experience of an actor. Like once you have an actor that's new to the game, they're going to be worried about every single step, or the opposite, where they're like, oh, I trust it's going to happen, and it can work out either way. Where if that actor doesn't worry and he sees it on the screen and he's like, holy moly, or it works out the opposite where I should have trusted him, and I should have stopped worrying about it. There's no one way to do it. That's really it.
Do you know when the ad lib is okay?
The ad lib, so like improv.
Yep.
This is what I say to my actors. All right, and they're not my actors. This is what I say to actors is
that are on your movies.
On the movies, and what I say is, all right, these are the lines, right? And they'll be a lot of times they'll be like, oh, can I say it this way? I'm like, as long as you get the point across, whatever sounds more real, that's what I want. If you would say what's up instead of hello, do that. All right. For your character too, though, would your character say that? And unless it's like a joke where you need to say a certain thing. But I am all for improv. I think it's more natural. I don't want it to be unrelevant or relatable to the scene, but I prefer whatever it is to get a real.
Yep.
Capture something real.
And I think that's something that a lot of young actors get caught up in, is trying to memorize the lines, and making sure everything's perfect and, not missing a single word or flubbing a single word.
Yeah.
Where when you can flip it and study and really understand the situation
and what's happening,
the psychology behind your character and what's actually happening, and then just letting the words come out.
And that's the best advice. The best advice I could give any actor, and you could be an actor. You wouldn't have to act in days. Like, as long as you could talk to me as you are talking right now with a bunch of cameras on you, you can really do it. And the biggest mistake a majority of all actors do, and Elliot's saying exactly this, is they care about the words. You know, when you're talking to me right now, are you thinking about the words
Don't
you're
give a
telling
shit
me?
about the words.
No, you're just thinking about the subject.
That's it,
right?
man. The conversation. I'm curious, man.
So that's
like, what
acting.
the hell's going on?
So that's acting,
Yep.
and you're really listening, and you'll think of a subject or something I want to bring up,
Yep.
but the words you don't care about.
Nah.
These actors
Finding that perfect balance between technicality and authenticity.
And probably what makes an actor great is probably really studying the method part. But like if you go all in on the script and you know that character you're playing, you can be it.
Well, and
Right?
and
Oh, yeah.
and the character's you, because like the method is only one type of acting. There's a famous quote by Dustin Hoffman, who's into method acting, and Lawrence. Lawrence. Forget it. No, he was an older play. They were in Marathon. It was on the set of Marathon Man. Lawrence, I forget his name. Anyway,
See, one of the best method roles was filmed right here in our backyard with Dustin Hoffman. You know that, right?
Oh yeah, Rain Man.
Rain Man,
Yeah.
It was all filmed right here, man.
100%.
That was method.
Right.
That's true
yeah.
method.
Oh yeah. And he didn't even get those ticks until like the first shot. I was watching an interview. No, phenomenal, and exactly. But so Dustin and Marathon Man, he would always, before he had these running scenes, he would run 2 miles or whatever. And Lawrence, man, I'm so mad I forgot his name. He's the older gentleman with the play.
We'll figure it out.
But so anyway, he goes up to Dustin after he ran all the miles. He's like, Dustin, my boy, it's called acting. You don't got to run. You can just act like you're out of breath. But those are the two type of actors, and they're both great. Like I've worked with both of them, and one or the other, it doesn't matter. As long as you can pull it off.
Yeah.
You know.
And because like even with The Private Eye, I mean, we were prepping for this for years, and that entire stretch, I already knew who I was playing in the movie, and so it was every day. It was just, what would David do today? That was my character name. What would David do? How would I do this? How would I do that? And just not only becoming the character, but how can I make David myself? And me come to him come to me. It wasn't even until a month or two before we started filming that I even picked up the script again. I mean, yes, I read through the script when we first started pitching it and this and that, but it wasn't about the lines. It wasn't about any of that. I might have picked it up to go through some scenes, but I didn't really start prepping the lines until we were rehearsing with the other lead actors.
Do you study? We go back to somebody like Marlon Brando. I mean, I went back and watched Apocalypse Now.
Great.
Oh, yeah.
I watched it like a year ago, and I looked at it differently. And I'm like, man, this dude's just different.
Well, this is great. I'll tell you the story of how he got this role. He was only on set for a few days.
Yep.
And, the directors, Coppola, so they already did a movie together, The Godfather. And so Apocalypse Now, Marlon Brando shows up to set like 200 pounds overweight. Like Coppola was like, man, you got to get fit for this role. He's like a, military guy. He shows up weighing over 300 pounds. And then you want to hear the next thing?
Yeah.
He didn't know any of his lines. Marlon Brando doesn't like knowing his lines, just because lines.
He probably did he talk in third person too to Coppola like Marlon Brando doesn't like knowing his lines.
Probably, but a majority of that whole.
I could see that.
You said improv. A majority of all that is made up by him. He's talking about baby arms and stuff. That's Brando's just making stuff up as he goes.
Man, the end of that movie where he's in it looks like he's living in a cave. But where it's shadowy and.
Well, he had to film it like that because he was overweight.
So
and,
big.
Yeah,
I saw
they didn't
it too.
know. Yeah.
But I went, man, there's something about that. It's almost like that part of the movie was like a different movie.
Oh,
so wild.
Oh man, and great actors do that. Like, you just know it. That's something about casting. Casting is 98% of. That's what Elie Kazan said, and Elie Kazan is the one who made Marlon Brando. Elie Kazan directed Streetcar Named Desire, which Marlon Brando was 23 when he got that on. I believe it was on Broadway, and then they made the movie with him. Yep. And and also Elie Kazan made On the Waterfront, and and he made East of Eden, brought James Dean into this world, Marilyn Monroe. And the thing is and the reason why they're famous is that's when like TV was really popular, so everybody started seeing them. That's the generation. They were like the first of that. And I really appreciate casting because you got to be honest with yourself and true, and it when somebody's got it.
You got to be plugged in.
Know it.
Okay, so let's talk about two things. You got to be plugged in to have relationships with all these people to cast them, though, too, right? Or do you have to have somebody who?
It's fate.
Okay.
It's fate. And you do have to be plugged in because the casting process. You know who I really trust with being plugged into the streets is our producer Hope Ayiyi.
Yeah.
Like he knows all the latest trends.
That's great.
He knows who is popular, and there's a lot of times like he'll introduce us to people. But we met, for example, like Matt. We met him through Eliza Roberts. That's who we were trying to cast somebody at one point to play Eric Roberts' son, and we were having trouble. And they were like, "Oh, this kid, he's perfect. He looks just like young Eric Roberts," which he does. And that's how we met him. But then I saw his footage in the editing booth, and it was just like, man, this guy can act. It's not, you can have a look. A look is a look. But if you can act, man, it will blow you away. And that's something I'm very proud of with The Private Eye. We had limited resources, okay? It's still a lower budget movie. But the acting, is just fire.
And Jack's one of those directors that demands to be in the editing booth the entire process, entire step of the way. So he's watching these actors' faces and their scenes.
That's something you'd like to hear
5,000 times.
I'm their biggest fan. Like, it's so crazy meeting these people. Like, and Matt, Denzel Whitaker, and all Claire Grant is.
Yeah, I went back and looked at some. And you know what? Hey, you're going to give me credit on this, aren't you? When we were looking up who's in the movie, and he showed me a picture. I was like, that girl. Wait a minute, she was in, and I came up with it. And I went, Johnny Cash.
Oh, saw it.
I saw it. I said, she's the girl that snuck in his back room. I saw it. I was like, that's that girl.
That's
and
Claire
she looks
Grant.
different.
Yeah.
But you were like,
man,
what the
you
hell?
called it out.
Phenomenal.
Really?
Fantastic.
She is fantastic.
Yep.
And, she's
Love
got
her.
a perfect look. She was actually introduced to us through Matt. And see, that's another thing, too. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're an actor, a producer, or a director. You want to give it your all. You want to give the movie your all. So we were having a hell of a time casting the lead female because it's got to be perfect. She's the lead female in the movie. So Matt actually introduced us to
stirs
Claire.
it all up, but she's the rock.
Oh, yep. she's phenomenal. So Claire, I've only outside of set, I don't think I've ever hung out with her. Besides, like on set or an event,
she's got good
because
energy,
of The Private Eye. Yeah, but it's crazy. Is I feel like I know her so well because I've watched her a million times. But it's just because I watched the movie in the editing booth. But man, she is something else. I mean, even for a role like that, you recognized her. She's got it.
So this thing. I want to get your perspective. I always talk about this because you guys were sitting here having a conversation, but this is around entrepreneurship and business too.
And this is,
But I always ask everybody, like, all right, you said it. I wait until somebody invokes it. And I'm like, what is it? When we can look at people and we're like, they've got it.
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, I'll tell you, it's everything. It's I think in more like say if you believe in other I don't know how to say this, not dimensions, but like energy, for example, like auras, for example, and I think it's a combination of that. Combination of how you treat yourself, like how do you take care of yourself, and it's like this, okay? There's this old theory, it's called the you and I, all right? So you, for example, all I know about you is what they've told me, what I've seen, and what you've told me, and what other people have told me about you, and so that's you to me. That's all I know of you. That's not who you are. There's only one person who knows you better than anybody, and it's you, yourself. So I think those people really take care of themselves, and they do it by example, like of what they've already done, what they talk about, what they want to do, and then they show you that they do it. And then, it's different for everything. It's like acting is same as carpentry, okay? You can be a carpenter and you can be a carpenter. You guys both build me a table, but one of you might only have the it factor, and all the it factor is the product, okay? You can have the best style. You might have been great hanging around, but if your table falls apart, you don't have the it factor, for carpentry. So it's the same thing with acting. In acting,
so if somebody comes to you and they're like, hey, Jack, I don't have it yet, but how do I get it?
Yeah. Work your ass off. Study, persistence, patience. And the it factor is a combination of things. But the it factor, somebody who has to tell me that, it's going to be very hard for you to get it. The people that have the it factor, guess what? They do one thing differently than all the others. They do. Yeah. Doers.
And deep
idea
down,
men,
they already know it.
Oh yeah, and there's not, and you could tell me whatever you want. I'm going to do it. I've got it. And I think that for me at least, that's
when you recognize it.
Yeah.
So you don't describe it. You just say, oh, they've got it.
Yeah.
And it happens in all these just serendipitous moments.
Yes.
Right? It's like, oh, it could be the person running a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's like might be Jeff Ruby.
Yeah.
It's like
anybody, yeah.
Well, and
They've
you know
got
what's crazy is Mike
But they
Nichols
stand
told
out
me
like
that.
a sore thumb, that's for sure.
Yeah, Mike Nichols told me about the it factor. He was talking. He's worked with Julia Roberts twice, and I got to ask Eric what Julia thought of Mike. That was a pretty cool story. But Mike would always say, the movie stars, they just have it. Like, and when I didn't know what the hell he was talking about, I felt just like that question, like, well, what is it? In my mind, what is it? But then when you start seeing it, you're like, oh, they've got it. Like, it's something more than words, It's like,
like
you
when,
didn't need you. They didn't need you.
Like Jack says, you just do it, but it's the same thing. Everything also just comes to you.
Yeah.
In a way, because you're just so in the present moment. And something that I just came up with right now, actually, when you were asking Jack, what is it? And I'm sitting here thinking, IT. And I came up with infinite time. So no matter who you were in your past life, who you are in your present life, or in the future, you just were a rare stone amongst the rest, and would have been standing out in any civilization, any society that you lived within, because you just got it.
But it's about doing the work. Like, is that the positive vibe you can give people? Because I don't think what you say is, hey, you're not going to recognize it and be it until you become it.
Until you do it.
That's it. So you got to do it.
You just got to do it.
And I think that's
there's a lot of
what it
idea
comes down
men.
to.
There's a lot of idea men. And they got the best ideas in the world, but it's not real.
If you're sitting there and you want to be it and you want to have it, I mean, what's that going to get you? Nothing, unless you get off your ass and do it.
You'll meet, like in Hollywood, I was introduced to thousands of people. And 10 years ago, like say 1,000 people, there's been only been about 10 or 20 that have actually done what they said. And there's only one difference, and they weren't waiting for handouts. They were creating their own opportunities. And even if they weren't having opportunities, they were perfecting their craft and practicing acting or practicing filmmaking. And then you gotta fuck up, man. People are so afraid to fuck up, but they don't realize you'll never find the answer unless you fuck up and you learn something new, and then you adapt, and people are afraid to fuck up.
Yeah, so why aren't you afraid?
Because fear is different. It's the whole quote, fear means two things, and for me it means face everything and rise, and I do have tenacity, I believe. People tell me, at least. I don't even know, but I'm afraid all the fucking time. The only thing I'm not afraid of is actually getting through it. Like, I'm not afraid enough to go back and, like, for example, there's been, I've spent 15 years on filmmaking. Even if I wanted to become a carpenter, you know how long it would fucking take me to learn a whole new I've gone too far. It's closer to the finish line than the beginning right now. So, but fear, I want to tell, if every entrepreneur, I felt so much fear, more than, like, it went to depression, but I never gave up. And I never gave up, and all these depressions and, these fears, these giant fears, I was like, no matter what, like, and my biggest fear was people not liking it, and then, once you get to the finish line, what you realize? I did it all for me. I don't even care if you like my movie. I made this movie for myself, and I love watching it. I can't tell you how many times I've talked about this with Elliot and my producer, Hope, is I'll be watching a Netflix movie that's just dog shit, and then I'm like, after 15 minutes, I'm like, fuck this, and I'll switch it to the private eye. And I'll watch the private eye again.
Something good.
Yeah. Something that I like, So I think that's another thing, is you got to do it for yourself. Yeah. Whether you make in a movie industry. So, and I really wanted to bring this up because, the whole podcast is for entrepreneurs. The movie industry is just like any other business. There's, so Elliot and I own other businesses too. Like, one of them is a security business, okay? So there's two main types of businesses, the ones that I'm talking about. There's a service industry, all right? And then there's a product, okay? Service industry is like, security, where we provide services. And sometimes, like, say, my family business that my brother and my uncle own, it's a plumbing company, so they provide a service. They go and do it, right? But then there's another business, and it's the product. So a movie is like a product, okay? So what you're doing is there's a few aspects to any product you make. And this is what I tell investors, because most of our investors never invested in a movie. So I'm trying to make people understand it's just like anything else. We're not reinventing the wheel. And I don't like comparing it to this, but it's the easiest to compare is like a cell phone, okay? So you got your iPhone 15, 14 or whatever, all right? You need a really high quality product, or you need a really high quality movie. It has to look good, sound good, get the right actors in it, blah, blah, blah. And then once you got the product, that's only halfway. All right, once you finish the movie, there's so many filmmakers, they finish the movie and they're like, oh, I'm done. No, that's halfway.
How do you get people to see it?
And that's the other half for a cell phone or anything. So what it is a cell phone. We'll keep on this example. So the only reason you know about that iPhone is because of commercials, billboards, etc. Marketing strategy. Everybody wants a new phone. Even like all these news stations, the media is more bought out than you could imagine, okay? And like that company has billions of dollars to spend. And like, I think Procter & Gamble spend $2 billion a year on marketing alone for their products, okay? So that's the one part of distribution. The other part of distribution is having a place for people to buy it. Okay, so for a movie, back to a movie, we finish the product, which is the movie. Next thing, we start, promotional tours, awareness campaigns, and then we start officially marketing the trailers and getting commercials, social media, all these different types of marketing tools. And then where are you going to buy it? So our first step is movie theaters, and then after that it's VOD, videos on demand, and then it continues down to streaming and down along the line. And we can get complicated in how we sell these to different territories around the world, but it's really simple. And that's another thing about me compared to a lot of people. A lot of people think there's magic, and other people, how they did it is too complicated. My opinion is point A to point B, the easiest way is a straight line. So I really know that if we really create an awesome marketing campaign, and maybe that's where the complicated part is, the marketing campaign, you got to be creative. You got to have things that nobody's ever thought of, like poster release parties and things that people want to talk about, like the news, etc. And then you got to have places to show your movie. So it's actually a product. It's no different than any other, it's different to make. You use different tools, but it's just like a house. You're a realtor, so
How do you know that?
I love the building. But my dad, he builds, he'll build the Red Stadium, all the bridges on the 5 bridges, and like the thing is you have different tools. He uses hammers and wood and nails, and we use cameras, but everything is pretty much the same. It's just, what is your craft and what do you learn and how far do you want to go?
Having a sense of purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, so does that matter? Does this purpose and this why? And there's all these, TED Talks and trying to figure out psychology and why we act the way we act and what do you have to do? Well, you pretty much have to take a little action around something, right?
Yeah.
Have some purpose and some why around it.
Exactly.
And that's, and I don't want to be insensitive to where, because people have gone through different things than me. My wife alone, she grew up without both parents. She grew up with her grandma. And I actually was fortunate enough to have my own parents. And not only that, parents that believe in my crazy ass.
That is special.
It is very important for my structure. And I understand if you didn't have just knowing about it, just having them tell you how it works, and just proof that it's been done before.
You get an at-bat.
Yeah.
I use the analogy a lot of times. It's like, hey, listen, maybe you started on the baseball team. You still had to go to practice, but you started on the team.
Yep.
There's a lot of people who don't even have the fucking uniform.
Exactly.
Right? And so, but here's the thing. I don't cry for them.
No.
It's just like, look to somebody who's overcome it and done it, and just go do it again.
Yeah.
Just because, I think we have to stop in society. We have to stop providing context on why it's okay to talk about the stuff you had to overcome. I think we have to stop saying, well, other people had it harder than me. Yeah. Everyone that's been in this country, there's someone in other countries that had it harder than all of us.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
so I'm whatever our hardest thing was, it's our hardest thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Find someone who's come before you because someone has.
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone came before
Everything's
you guys.
been done before.
It has been.
And
so I know they're going through tough times.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, listen, y'all. There's a lady out here named Mel Robbins. She's one of these inspirational people, and she's like, no one's coming.
Yeah.
No one's coming.
Nobody's
It's
coming.
great advice.
No one's coming.
Great
It's
advice.
like I'm drawing a blank on a name right now too, but Fast and the Furious. Paul Walker.
Yeah.
He said something back in the day. Rest in peace. But he used to say, "How dare you sit here and feel sorry for yourself when there's people in the hospital that are dying right now."
So many of these things,
and,
right?
And I think that's where you become, and this is why you started this podcast. Like people, like what we're doing is giving belief.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
like and I really, Mike Nichols was a good
mentor.
Yeah. And for 3 years, I studied with him on Wednesdays at this new actors workshop. It was George Morrison, Mike Nichols, and Paul Sills started it too, but he passed away before I was there. But the one thing about Mike was already famous, man. He was so famous, like. It was famous people loved him.
Famous
you
with
know
a
what I
famous
mean?
wife, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Diane Sawyers,
I
and
mean,
that was his third or fourth wife.
Yeah,
he,
but
he
I'm
worked there.
just famous.
You know how he got her? Is he was watching some news station. And he was like, "Man, I'm gonna date her," and he goes to an event and starts dating her. And but the thing is with Mike. The most beautiful thing for me, there's two things that I'll tell you because he told me a million things in these classes, but
I've probably heard
all of them,
a
yeah.
million times.
But
You need to, hey, Jack, do you mind getting him another water?
Thank you.
Because we're having a good conversation.
Yeah, and
do you guys have? I don't have.
Oh, I have all
we
the time
keep
in
going.
the world. Yeah,
Oh,
please.
yeah, no,
Okay, let's
please,
go.
please.
We're rolling.
No,
We're all good.
and
I
so,
pushed my
but these
flight
two
back for
things
this,
that,
so we're
There you
good.
go.
I'm
yeah.
flying out tomorrow now.
I'm honored to be here.
No, that's
thank
awesome.
you for this.
Thank you
And
for having us, seriously.
but the one thing he taught me, one of the most beautiful things I saw was I remember the first time he repeated himself, and then that's when I knew I was like, dang. He doesn't have all the answers. He's just human. It was really awesome seeing a guy who's won an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, see him repeat himself. And to me, what that did is like, oh,
Thanks, man.
he's normal, and he would bring in like Kevin Kline to teach me Shakespeare and like Philip Seymour Hoffman to come in and teach a class. Like, he would bring these giants who you think are different than you, but you realize they don't. And then the other thing he taught me was the best advice in work related I've ever gotten in my life. And what he said is, because somebody asked him, I think in class, was like, how do you make it? How do you do it? How are you going to ask that question? So what he said was the most beautiful thing. He's like, man, there's really no way. The only thing I could tell you is get with your friends and do it. Mm-hmm. And ever since I heard that, I was like, that's it. That's what Adam Sandler did. That's what we did. That's what Rocky did.
I ever had would always stress that you got to get with your friends and do it. And Eric Roberts gave me the most simple advice, but probably the best advice that I carry with me every day. Through our friendship, and one day he came, we were having dinner or watching football in the hotel room back when we were filming in New York, and he told me, I wasn't even asking him any questions. He's like, I was watching you on set today through the Video Village cameras, and you got the look, you got the personality, you got the attitude. You just got to go for it. And like that kind of like shifted me a little bit and changed my mind. I'm like, just got to go for it. Oh shit. Like thought I was already going for it, but there's, once you break down one door, there's another door, and then there's another door, and then there's another door. But at the end of the day, you got to just keep going for it and never give up.
So what's special about having the right people around you? You brought up Mike Nichols, right?
Yeah.
You talk about Eric Roberts. You guys have invoked
Well,
him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
just to finish this conversation was, just having the ability to see somebody else that's already done it and realizing that you're the same, and don't get me wrong, I think everybody I work with is more intelligent and genius than me. I do think I'm smart and aggressive, and in the right ways, and that's what makes me unstoppable. But Elon Musk said it best, man. He's like, I didn't go to Harvard, but everybody that works for me did, So like all these people I work with are more genius than I am, and who does that make smart, Like,
we want to surround ourselves with friends and crews and just a support system that is the best at what they do,
How do you guys do with the little 2-letter word no?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, you know what I say? Here goes a quote. Here goes.
Yes, right?
Yeah. This is my quote. Except for sex, a no is a soft yes. Yeah, I got to put that disclaimer in there.
And every
but,
no leads to a yes.
Dude, I can't tell you how many people said no to me, and then like even investors, I ask them, oh, when you invest, and they're like, no. Like I remember our first investor for a Soul to Squeeze, this next movie, our first investor, we the first year we come up to him, we ask for like I think it was like $80,000.
Yeah, $80,000.
Which now it seems low, but back in the day, like for us,
now you ask for like $500,000.
Yeah. We asked for $10 million. And that's going to be low in about 2 years.
Yeah.
So we ask him for $80,000. He's like, no. He just says no, and then don't ever take that as a real no. That just means he doesn't know about and the right time,
and he didn't really know us yet either.
Yeah.
He had never met us,
and he doesn't know anything about the movies.
Friend.
So anyway, we just kept friends. Don't do business, make friends. And we made friends, and then a year later, we asked him for $100,000. And
Well, a year later, we actually got to get to know him a little bit.
I think we asked for $3 million.
And we didn't even ask him. He
that
just
was what it
he
What do
just
you
turned
need?
and he's just like, well, let me know when you're ready for an investor.
That's what
and
it
then he was like,
That's what
how's
it was.
$100K sound to start? I'm like, yeah.
So there's things I know why that happened without knowing the stories because he believed you in then. He
Yeah.
saw you guys work.
Didn't give
Yeah.
up.
You had to do the work though. See, so
Yeah.
many people are like, no, you had to do the work,
Yep.
Absolutely.
and
yeah.
you earned his respect in the quiet moments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then that's
know.
just happened time and time again. I mean,
That's
my
happened at
dad's
least 10 times.
My dad's a salesman, and so he knows the no game, and and
I like what he
fighting for
says. What
those
does
yeses.
John
He-
say?
He says every no leads to a yes,
Yeah.
type thing.
Well said.
But as an actor, especially before we were creating our own content and producing, man, I mean, you just go on audition after audition and audition, and
Hundreds.
you just have to have one, just what is it, like short-term memory, because you get told no so many times, and that's even if you get a response. A lot of times you don't even hear anything back, and
Yep.
and it's funny because all the auditions
That's
I've
even
gone
worse.
on that I thought like I crushed that. I was so prepared, and I went in there and knocked it out of the park. You don't hear shit back, and then all of a sudden it's like, damn, I'm not gonna get that one. I mean, I blew that, and boom, they call you up. Hey, you booked it. It's like, so there's just no rhyme or reason to it. You just got to keep going. Yeah.
So when you look back on some of those failures,
Mm-hmm.
if the person you are now, could you win those roles now? Would you know how to approach them differently?
Well, I think that especially when it comes to acting, I mean, in life in general, you're either just the right fit for the job or not. So it wasn't necessarily that I didn't book those roles because I had a bad audition or was having a bad day or something like that. They already knew who they wanted for that job most of the time. And I remember one of my roles was on the Lifetime TV show My Crazy Ex. I went in and I thought I had a pretty good audition. I was pretty confident in it, but I mean I had no idea that at that point it was a few years into my LA life, so like I knew the game, and I knew not to get my hopes up for anything, and I knew not to let anything defeat me or break me. But I go in, and they're looking for this like fake vegan hippie guru, sketchy type guy, and I had my long hair at the time, and I showered before I went into it, and I was living in Hollywood, and at this time it was still physical auditions. Now it's pretty much all self tapes from home, from your iPhones or Samsungs or whatever.
That's wild.
And so I go in, and I just happened to last minute decision. Like I got out of the shower, I pulled my hair up until like a
You did not put it in a bun.
I put it in a bun with half of it down because I was like, this is kind of like fake vegan hippie type dude, right? and I wasn't intending to leave the bun in for the audition, but as I'm walking in, I'm like, screw it, just gonna go for it. And I book it. I get the set, and the hair and makeup team, they're like, could you put your hair the same way you had it in the audition? And they're like, low-key, we think that's why you booked it.
Yeah.
So it's like it doesn't even matter sometimes if you had a good audition or not. They're just looking for the right face or the right, just right person. I mean, right.
I think it's very important
Yeah.
to be on the other side. Like Elliot's been on the other side of the casting booth now, and so you realize that I want you to do great. My job sitting here casting is like, I want you to kill it.
Yeah.
And most people are like, oh, what do they want? What do they want? I mean, a lot of times
We
I
want
don't,
you to
yeah,
make
yeah.
our job easier.
Yeah.
We want you to be the right fit for
and
the
do
job.
do the acting role, and that as a director, say for example, I don't have to be a master at any of the crafts, because a movie is the most complex art form besides like a video game, like where you got costume, you got wardrobe, you got makeup, you got set design, you know the whole aesthetics, you got acting, you got hair, you've got camera work, pictures, lightings.
Yeah.
There's just so many art forms, and I don't have to be a master at any of those. All right, what I have to master is how to communicate my vision to all these people. So I learned a little bit of everything, and I started off actually as an actor, and it helped me as a director because I know how to talk to actors, and I know what I want acting wise. There's definitely a difference between general hospital acting than a movie acting. Martin Scorsese, and I know what I like, and as a director, so I know how to make the choices, and I know how to communicate. I mean, look at Tim Burton's set design, and his hair compared to Mike Nichols' set design, and compared to Tarantino's set design. So all these, we don't have to be. I think it's very good to be a perfectionist. It has to be perfect in your mind, but you don't have to be a master craftsman at lighting or camera work to know how to communicate.
And then you know it when you see it.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
So you didn't tell us who, I don't believe.
The actor?
Yeah. I'm not letting you off of this.
No, well, so I'd say my favorite actor, favorite actor. I mean, it's so weird being in the situation I'm in, okay? Because, I've loved actors all my life, but then when you're actually making movies and everything, you start falling in love with the actors you're working with, and then you realize what acting actually is. So now, when say if you start hanging out with me and we start watching movies, I will ruin movies for you. Like my wife and my dad, it's hard for them to watch movies because they see all the shots, cameras, lighting, and everything, where a normal person wouldn't. They're captured in the illusion, and the distraction. So what I would say is the best two actors I do in all history. I mean, you got to give Marlon Brando and Daniel Day their props because they went all the way, and they have. It's not about what they believe. There's a point to where it's not about what you believe in yourself. It's about what others believe in you. Like that's something. I'm in this transition. I'll finish the question, but I'm in this transition where I've had to hype myself up for the last 10 years. For the last 10 years, I've had a few people coaching me on, but really it's been me saying I'm the best, and even though I'm not at the, I wasn't at the time or whatever, I'm the best in my head, I'm the best. But now people are starting to talk about me, and that's an amazing feeling because I have no control about what you say to me on this, whatever it is. I have no control. And to me, that's the most awesome feeling. Even if it's negative, you're still talking about me. You know what I mean? There was one point where you didn't even know who the fuck I was. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm in a very awesome space right now. And the whole point is it's very hard for me to judge actors from back in the day. Like when I was younger, I mean, I had stages, okay? So I remember my first favorite actor is Arnold Schwarzenegger from Predator. When I was a kid, I loved it. I used to put little scruff on my face, paint little dots.
What about Kindergarten Cop? That wasn't good.
I love that too. But it was definitely
Terminator.
It was definitely Predator.
Okay.
Terminator was great too, but Predator I just loved. And then my second favorite actor after that was Bruce Willis. And this is when I'm a kid, okay? And I didn't know this. Ironically, the Predator and Die Hard are made by the same director. So I thought that was pretty interesting because those were my two favorite first actors. And then and then you get into I remember in high school. I mean, of course, when I was in high school in the 90s, Brad Pitt and Johnny Depp were great, but they were just the pretty boys. I didn't go for the actors. And then when I start learning about acting, that's when the Gene Hackmans come out, and that's when Laurence Olivier is the guy who gave Bring It Back. Laurence Olivier, and the Dustin Hoffmans, and I really fall in love with these people. And I have another quote, and this is the truest. If you're over 30, you probably do not know who is famous, okay? You can stay as long as you want, but the people that make people famous are teenagers and 20-year-olds. They make people famous. If you're over 30, you're not making anybody famous anymore. I mean, you might be, the person that becomes famous might be 40, like Samuel Jackson didn't make it until he was 40, but it was a 20-year-old or, young 30 Tarantino that won. But the fans were even younger than that. Mm-hmm. So nowadays the hot tickets, I mean, the best actor, right now, the most famous actor right now is Matt Rife and Elliot, and Claire Grant. They are going to be. Jack. I mean, they're after 5 years ago it was Timothée Chalamet. It was Timothée Chalamet. 2 years ago, the two hottest actors of today's time are they just filmed a movie in Cincinnati last year. It was Austin Butler and Tom Hardy. Okay. You kidding me? You kidding me? Those two are the greatest of this time. But guess what? In 2 years, Matt Rife and Elliot are going to be right there acting with them because it changes, it evolves, and people don't realize that, and studios don't. For some reason, studios don't understand that. That studios used to make actors. Like they used to like put a lot of money in, because like if you think about it, why is an actor famous? They're only famous because their movies they're in, right? I mean, like look, Matt Rife, he's famous not because of his acting. He actually has a talent for comedy. You know, he's a stand-up comedian. He has something more. Like, and that's another beautiful thing for actors to hear is most people that are actors, they want to go to Hollywood and, I just want to be the lead actor, famous as that. It's like, well, you're going to get hired because of your talents. Like, if I'm making a movie about the military, I'm going to hire somebody who was in the military most likely because they know how it was. So your talents, if you're studying to be an actor, I would suggest doing things that you enjoy. And, you know, if you like surfing, you know, become a surfer and really get good at surfing, because when that surfing movie comes up, guess what? You'll get hired as a surfer if you're a better surfer than the other people, you know. And that's a rough example. But to say who my favorite actor of, I know who the best is. My favorite actors are the ones I work with for sure. I've said this before, and I hope Claire doesn't think it's weird, but I'm in love with Claire Grant. You know, she's dude, like it's so weird because like I don't know her very well. You know, I've seen her a million times, but when I don't get starstruck, you know, like I've been with Brad Pitt, I don't get starstruck, but I'm definitely starstruck around Claire.
It means she's got something then.
Yeah.
So you can build some.
She makes me
movies around
nervous
you guys.
talking to her. Like
Yeah.
I'm, you know, like it sucks so much because you know, I'll just talk to anybody. I don't care, like you know who they are, like, and
so
I'm
strong
aggressive.
and
But I shut
so
up when I'm with
confident, but
Claire.
so
I'm just like, oh
sweet
my
too,
God.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's just,
So let me throw one out here that if I would have said, because what's funny is that you just brought up all your favorite movies, but you're gonna make a horror movie.
Yep.
And you just made a comedy.
Well, it was a mystery romance comedy.
Okay, is that what it is?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even know that. I didn't know that was a category.
it touches all genres.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's like a Forrest Gump, man. You know, like every great movie has every
don't
genre.
talk to me about one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
man.
Oh yeah. Well,
Listen.
you know,
Love that movie
know,
too.
Great
Forrest
movie.
Gump will make you laugh, cry, feel anxious. You know, bored. You know, it's got every genre. Every great movie is
What a
every
great
genre.
movie, man.
Even
But
our
I think
horror
it
film,
leans-
horror is the main genre, but it
Yeah.
touches on everything.
Man, y'all
as
scare
well.
me with those movies, man.
Oh, good.
Well,
Yeah.
You know what got me into horror?
Trying to
Better
trying to-
strap
trying to
on your
pull-
boots.
Trying to pull the
Yeah.
sheet up and try to look over.
Oh, yeah,
What got you into it?
My wife, she believes in ghosts. I'm a very skeptic guy. Okay, like I'm a realistic guy. Like you know, my dad was very spiritual, but my wife, she wrote a book called "Scary Things Are Real." All about her
definitely
ghost
believe.
experience, and you know what's so messed up is I would always try to prove her wrong. She'd say this, and I'd be like, "Oh, it's the AC. Oh, this is the door." One time, or I think it was 2 times, I couldn't explain myself, and some paranormal shit happened, and I was, and I wasn't even scared. I was more like, "Damn." I couldn't
about to
prove
make
her
you a
wrong.
believer.
You know, well, I couldn't prove her wrong. You know, and then, but anyway, so. My wife believes in that and witchcraft. So, like not doing it. She doesn't do witchcraft or anything. But like, you know, she believes that she
We just went to a new place.
She
on
has
this
been.
podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like,
she has been cursed before. So
We just
anyway,
went to a new
it was fascinating. It was fascinating. And you know, somebody sparked us that we need to make a horror film. And anything I do, I just want to go all the way. And something that I really want to do is every movie is going to be different for me. I don't want to make the same movie over and over
Did
again.
Tarantino make the same movie over and over and over again?
No, he didn't.
don't
Maybe
know.
twice in a row with Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. The way he wrote it out of timeline, he kind of did the same thing twice. But so did Guy Ritchie with Lock, Stock, and Snatch. This kind of, you know, like they use the same storyline, you know, but the genres were completely different in Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction in a way where he's very much like what we're talking about, where all his movies have every genre.
Who wrote and directed Kill Bill? Because those feel like Tarantino. to
They
me.
are
Yeah.
They are, but Tarantino.
Are they?
Yep.
Okay, so I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Tarantino, he's made 9 movies so far. He's only going to do 10, by the way.
Yeah, he's done after
Yeah.
this,
yeah,
isn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. His next one is called The Critic. But yeah, no, and he has one movie that you'll never see. It was his first movie. He calls that his film school.
Is it just too rough?
Oh yeah, he never released it.
We all
he
have
has
those
scenes,
projects.
I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
have
do.
I have a few that
Yeah.
didn't come out.
Hey,
But,
so there's an actor that I didn't say before that's not with us anymore that to me just seemed just brilliant of all brilliance. Oh, Robin Williams.
oh my
Yeah.
God, he's up there for me, man. That's one guy, man.
I just watched the video on him last night, man.
He can make you laugh and
there
cry.
was an audition he went on for in his younger years, and it's funny because he went in for, it was like a less than a minute audition.
Oh, with the commercial? I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was driving the director crazy because
I don't think that was an audition.
Like
I think that was a job.
No, it was like a 13 to 20 minute audition, and the director just kept, like, Robert started off with his back turned toward the camera.
Yeah, I saw
and the
that,
director's
dude.
like, could you please just turn around and face the camera and just say what you're supposed to say? And he just kept going off every single
different
wall.
character. See, that's somebody that's special right there.
Yeah.
Like, he's somebody who it's very rare to be able to do the comedy and the drama. Like, you know who and I'd say kind of struggles with it. He's good at, he's had his hits now, but is Adam Sandler. He's a very weird, like, where his comedies are very dramatic, but his dramas are very, like, there's only one that worked out, I think.
To me, I say weird because it's different.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it's just like his acting. It's just like Robin Williams can do a serious tone. Where, like, Adam Sandler, even his dramas is a very similar tone to his comedies. But where Robin Williams, man, he's so quick. Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba.
Oh, yeah.
But then if he needs to break down and really talk to you.
I mean, he was a damn
one-on-one.
therapist.
Yeah.
with
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great movie.
And that's probably why he did it too. Like, if you're stuck in a corner, like, where, oh, you're a comedian, you want to be able to do dramas. I think that's why, another reason why I think Matt Rife is lucky is he's got a comedy movie coming out that a good friend made. My friend Jay Davis produced a movie called Don't Suck, and it's a comedy movie. Jamie Kennedy's the lead, and Matt Rife plays the supporting actor who's like a vampire. And it's like Jamie Kennedy. Yeah, Jamie Kennedy is going on stand up, and then he meets this vampire who starts opening up for him. But everybody expects that from Matt. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to expect his performance in The Private Eye.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I mean nobody. I remember we had a publicist watch it about 2 weeks ago, and we ran into her Saturday.
Yeah.
And the first thing she tells us is like, man, I didn't know Matt could act.
Yeah, he looks different. Even that shirt you have,
Oh, yeah.
it's like you can tell that's a different guy. That's not the comedian on
This is
stage.
Matt.
That's
Yeah.
a different guy.
Yeah, and that's Eric.
Yeah.
This is
So,
Eric, and that's
Yeah,
Matt.
he's it's
I like
hard
to say
to
it was
break
the
off.
perfect role for him.
Yeah.
But he perfected the role
Yeah.
as well.
He added
made
a
it
lot.
His own,
I
and
mean,
he
he
added
helped.
so much to it, and he
Mhm.
just like a lot of actors say, just playing on set, and that's exactly what he did. I mean, he takes it very seriously, but set is where the magic happens. That's
Yeah.
what I always like to say, and it's so true.
So
Oh,
not to ask some big questions, but like, can you guys see like 20 years in the future, if we're fortunate enough to be here, because crazy shit happens in life, but 20 years in the future, 25, you look up to Mike Nichols so much, right?
Yeah.
I wonder at the end of his life if he was satisfied. So for you,
Very good question.
so was he? Because I'm going to ask what it's going to take for you guys to be satisfied.
I think what's beautiful is the type of person I am, and I can't speak for anybody else but myself, but the type of person I am is once I get that, I want something else. So in a way, I'm never going to be satisfied, I think. And I know that now, though. It's all about the journey for me. And I think the only difference is when I first started off, I wanted to do a lot of projects. Now I want to do very few very well. I would rather have 5 movies that I've done that are phenomenal than me doing 100 movies that are okay. So I am all about taking my time now and doing it right. Like even this movie poster. That movie poster cost a lot, okay? And
It took a while. It took about a half a year.
Yeah, and it's but we got the best quality there is for that. So if but we had to take these little steps. Like I've made these some movies, but they were just stepping stones to The Private Eye, and now The Private Eye is a stepping stone to A Soda Squeeze. When I was trying to find money for that movie and A Soda Squeeze, I mean, it took me 8 years to get that money. All right, and I thought I was going to have a lot more than I did. I thought I was going to have $20 million, But the first thing as a director, I want to be a director. The first thing I say, hey, I need $1 million to you. And the first thing that all the investors said is, oh, what have you done before? What have you done before? And if you haven't done anything, it's like, Well, damn. So then you got to figure out, how do I do things where nobody believes in me? And that's the part that you will remember, because you had to do everything in your will to just do it, just somehow, like, go this way. And I think I cheated myself a few times. Yeah, well, I think I cheated myself a few times, but I'm glad I did it before I had my big movies come out, because now I know I'll never do that again, or if it happens again, it was completely sidewind. There's been so many snakes in every industry. Hollywood is full of fucking cobras, man. Yeah. And so I've definitely went down the wrong path. And the worst thing about it, at the end of the day, I wasn't even mad. Even if I paid them some money for something, I wasn't even mad. The most thing I was mad about is you just wasted my time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you made me spend a half a year believing your bullshit, and now I can't get that time back. But it was a valuable lesson of, fuck, you don't trust anybody but yourself. And it's just so sad. Even trying to get distributions, coming back to that is, you want people's help, and you think they're there to do good, but then you realize in the end of the day, no, it's better for you to do it all yourself.
It just is, right? Because they're just looking out for them, and I think
and a lot of people want to take shortcuts, and they just want to make a quick buck, and they don't care about quality, or they don't care about making something timeless.
So you were a stand-in on Sons of Anarchy, right?
I was actually the photo double for Jax, so for Charlie Hunnam on the last season, maybe the last 2 seasons.
You've got a Sons of Anarchy look about you.
Yeah, and I had like my longer hair at the time, and so everything, like, it's funny because I would see myself around town for the billboards and ads. Anything that wasn't just his face was me. So like if it was like his back, or like, and they would CG the
his back is famous.
Tattoos.
That's why I hired Elliot first, actually.
Or even from the side, or like holding up some of the,
you got sex appeal, Elliot. That's what he's saying, baby. You got it, right?
You got that back.
You have to make it in Hollywood, right?
Were you on? Was it Deadwood? Were you on something?
Deadwood, yeah. Yep. I was a featured extra, you could say, on Deadwood, but they kind of hand placed me in some cool spots where I got some good FaceTime. But that was just one of my...
It's funny you bring up extras on Deadwood. Guess who? Tell them who else was an extra right next to you in Deadwood. I think it was the guitarist for...
Some big star or something.
Yeah, it was... what band?
Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains, yeah.
He was just trying to make it big.
He was just
he don't care. He
He's
just
a big
loves
Deadwood fan.
Really?
When I found out the movie was coming.
He's like, let me be in this, man.
You never know who somebody is, man.
I mean, there was a guy who lives in the mountains in, I think, like the actual town of Deadwood, and where's it at? Like Wyoming, maybe
Colorado or Wyoming or something.
Yeah. And so he was an extra in all of the show, and he came back to work on this set too. And I got to meet Timothy Oliphant and what's our buddy's
W.
name?
Earl
Brown. Some of these greats that have just been killing it for years, and that was that. I mean, working as a background actor, that was never like my sole income. That was just something I would just bounce around onto for an extra buck. But even more than that, like I said, being on set is where the magic happens. Mm-hmm. So just find a way to get onto a set, and you meet so many great people. You make so many great connections in the industry. Friends. There are full-time background actors, and they make a great living. But then you're gonna meet the director, like Jack and I met doing background. Or you're going to meet another producer or another
costume
designer that are all just hungry.
Yeah.
And they're just waiting to get on their own set.
Whatever that role is.
So that was an HBO production. So it was a multi-million-dollar production, and just being on that set for a month.
And I think it's very important for a young artist to do that. Yeah. Like, if it's not background, something even to get yourself on set. You can go to the best film school in the world, but until you're on set of a multi-million-dollar project, you do not understand pace of a movie, like how, like the pace of it, like how everybody works together, all these different gears. I've worked with many people who come, like, especially in the beginning as directing, like people that just come straight out of film school, and something about them is like.
There's an entitlement and arrogance.
There is, and they take so much time on things, and they don't realize it's it's got to be like building a bridge.
I got my degree, so I deserve this, and it's like, well, can you act? I mean,
Yeah. Was that movie that was Babylon? That recent movie Babylon.
Oh, Eric, have you seen that?
Yes, that was like behind the scenes. I saw it. I loved it, man.
Oh,
It's wild.
I think Eric stole the show.
Yeah, it was good.
I think
Eric was a little upset because they cut out a lot of his
He
scenes.
said half
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
scenes they cut out, and
But he got to be Margot Robbie's dad.
yeah, dude, and he really stole the show.
He said she was
That snake scene was awesome.
arguably
dude.
the most amazing actor.
Oh yeah, that was the funniest shit when like he just passes out.
Yeah.
No, shout outs to Eric, man. I got a lot of love for Eric, and because he does that movie was like $100 million budget. You know what I mean?
He doesn't stop. He's on a set every single day of his life.
Yeah, and that movie, why it didn't make as much as they wanted to in the box office. I mean, there's one answer, and it's obvious. Do you know what it is?
Nope, I don't know.
It came out the same day as Avatar 2.
Okay. Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie could do it," and they were like, it's like it was Avatar 2, you know. So it's
I
like
definitely encourage
hard competition.
young actors and young filmmakers to get into background. I mean, like I said, it doesn't have to be your main source of income or what you're doing every day, because you need to be creating your own stuff too. But I mean, one of our very first investors for the Private Eye we met him on a background set. Retired brain surgeon.
Yep.
And he was donating every single one of his background acting checks to the St. Jude Hospital.
Yeah. So he didn't have to be there. He just wanted to be on set.
He just wanted to feel the
I
magic.
know what y'all saw. Y'all saw a golden goose. You went, this dude's donating his money. He's got
I
it.
didn't know that. Afterward. No, shout out to Doc. Like Doc is very his name. He goes by
one of a kind. That's for
Mark
sure.
Mark Doc Berry. He when you first meet him though, he'll be wearing a tie with like stones in it, like diamonds in it, and you'll be like, whoa, man! Like
What's going on here?
he makes them, like So he's very awesome person, Doc. Yeah.
And then you have the people on these sets that as soon as they're like, all right, we don't need the extras right now, they'll go and fuck around and and not give a shit and just eat food. Whereas I mean, like, there's an opportunity, a golden opportunity right there to they're cool if you stand and watch and even ask questions, as long as you kind of stay out of the way a little bit, but you can be right there in the thick of things.
Yeah,
and
that's where I met my costume designer.
And they noticed that too. That's how you might be. They might be like, this guy. Hey.
Oh, seriously,
you want to
get
be involved?
line.
Let's get you involved.
I've been on background sets, and just because I'm there, and I've gotten lines just by because you're there.
Friend Denzel Whitaker, that's how he got his first
Training Day
lead role. Lead role in a movie, Training Day. It was his first job on a set too, I believe, and he was playing a background extra, a little kid, and he tells the story the best, of course. But Denzel Washington comes around, the background actors, which is pretty rare for these
stars.
The elite lead.
Because there's two separate camps.
They go to their trailer and just back and forth, right? Is that it?
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
As soon as they're not needed, back in the trailer.
Yep.
Back and forth. But he walked over and he was like, I heard there's some kid that has my same name, and then little by little, and Denzel said that he, this was his first time on a set, so he didn't know the unwritten rules. They say as a background, you're not supposed to talk and stay in your lane and this and that. And then he said once they were on set and the cameras were rolling, Denzel Washington just started like talking to him, and him not knowing these rules, he just being a little kid and being natural, just started responding. And then that night, the producers called his parents. They're like, so your son said a few words on set. Everything's good, but he's now gonna get a bump, and he's gonna get paid more, and he's gonna have a bigger role, and so
did that come from Denzel liking him?
Yeah, I mean,
and who he was, if you were afraid, like what Elliot's trying to say is most background is good for you, but it's also bad if you get stuck in the background world, because it's not acting. It's like background is like
collecting checks, right?
Yeah, and acting is very about
getting
like
free food.
letting your personal self out there. Where background's very much like, all right when he says that word, you walk across the hallway or whatever. So if you get stuck in that mentality, it's very bad for your acting actually.
And some of these sets are brutal. I mean,
but Denzel was not stuck in his acting.
No,
he was just natural.
Exactly.
And,
that's what anybody's looking for, is somebody that can be here in the present moment and just be real.
Yeah, and if it's just some advice for young background actors, take the chance of saying something.
Yeah,
they're gonna fire you. I mean, what? So you don't get the job that you didn't have?
Maybe they'll bump you up.
Yeah, or you might get the line.
I couldn't believe it, because for me, when I made the decision to go to LA and devote my life on, acting, I knew that there was nothing that was going to turn me around no matter what. And I'm on these sets, and we've been on sets together where half of the crew just quit because something went wrong.
Oh, man.
And on Deadwood, actually, we were there. They'd be 14 to 16-hour days, not even kidding. Some of the call times would be 4 a.m., and you'd be there until, 14, 15 hours later. Sometimes they'd be 11 a.m., sometimes they'd be 7 p.m., so there was really no telling. And we were wearing these old clothes and, very fun to wear. I mean, but the shoes were like paper thin and, in the middle of the afternoon, we're in Southern California. So you'd be sweating your ass off wearing all these like old
in the high desert
that just were like, in the high desert. And then in the middle of the night, they wanted to look wet. So between every take, they would always hose down all the mud. And in the middle of the night, it's freezing. Like I couldn't feel my toes. I couldn't feel anything, like fingers, nothing. And the first day after our first all-night shoot, half of the background actors quit and never came back. And it was just, and for me, I was like, damn, they really weed out the weak, huh?
So he's got some Navy SEAL shit in him or something.
Oh man,
man,
I just went out and I got Under Armour gear for underneath my clothes. I got extra shoe soles. I just made sure that I wasn't gonna be hating life the next day.
Yeah, well, and when you're first starting off, you want it to be easy. You want to, you want the easy route as quick as possible, and now going through it, I'm so glad it wasn't easy because it weeds out the people that don't want it.
It'd be hard,
it's
man.
a very I mean, real estate same way, man.
That's how life is, right?
Oh my God,
man.
It's not hard. You're not growing.
Exactly. Oh yeah, no, yeah.
You hear
Art,
stories all the time of people moving to LA to be famous or whatever it is, and it's like, you wonder what their true intentions are. Exactly, because that's definitely not why we're doing it. But so many people quit after year one, and like year one is just about getting your feet wet. And getting,
you're just starting, boys and girls.
Right.
Yeah. So you guys don't have a work-life balance.
No, it's real sad. So it's real sad like that because of I do have a wife and kids.
Well, you need a lighter or something.
No, I'm
sure, why not?
yeah. But I don't have I don't have a wife and I have a wife and kids, so I got to spend a lot of time away from them, and that makes it very hard. And I always get on people like, if you really wanted it, you wouldn't use your kids or your wife as an excuse to quit. But just the fact that you got to spend so much time away is very hard for me, at least. It makes it's weird now though, like.
Adds to the drive, though.
Adds to the drive and the love, like being away from somebody you love that much is very powerful.
It's good to know how to miss somebody.
Yeah. No, but
that's what my girl always taught me.
Yeah.
And it's hard too. She's back in LA and this and that, but she taught me that young. It's good to know how to miss somebody.
Yeah,
and it's true.
And my family backs me up more than anybody. They are, I bet it's really weird for a kid having a dad as a filmmaker, because I was like, "What's your?" He's so funny. He goes to school and he's like, all the friends, "Oh, what does your dad do?" And he tells them, and they think he's lying, and they got to look me up on Google or whatever.
Like he really is.
Yeah. It's pretty funty.
I don't know what he wants to be now, Jack the Eighth, but I know what Big Mike wants to be.
Yeah, my oldest son is.
Little
producer.
Jack, I remember when he was going through a phase when he was probably like 6 or 7, and the struggle in LA can be real, really real, too real sometimes. And little Jack was just like, I just want to be something normal.
Yeah, that's what he would always tell me. Like for the first 4 or 5 years of his life, because my dad's a carpenter, and he's like, man, I just want to be a carpenter. But now he's trying to be like a basketball player, which is even more crazy than directing.
Yeah.
So when you said it's good to miss somebody. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
There was
good to know how to miss somebody.
There was some pain in that.
Well, yeah, because I mean, when you really, when the heart wants what the heart wants, and when it's not here with you what you want. I mean, it's there's just a little bit of pain in that. I mean, and then, of course, like you miss the people. I mean, when I'm away from my home in LA, I miss my home life. I miss Diana and my family and friends out there. But when I'm out there, I miss my parents and I miss my brothers and I miss my my niece and nephew and my close people here in Cincinnati. And so it's just you just got to sit back and question, why am I doing this, and is it all worth it? And it always is.
Yeah,
so.
and you brought up a good thing. There's so many times people are so funny. Oh, this or the other, and I've always been the type of guy who's like, no, I want both.
Yeah,
and that's so funny, even with like where you're
that's
living.
why we're like,
you know,
it's gonna have a place.
Yeah,
in both,
yeah. It's like what, you wouldn't live out in L.A. or Cincinnati. Well, I'm living out in both.
Both.
I'm planning to get New York and Hawaii.
All four of them.
Yeah. I've got some New York.
Who's a heart surgeon now, and he specialized as high as he possibly could, and now he's got an amazing job. But he was in school for 16 years and struggling in his own right. But he has his wife and 3 kids, and I remember one time I told him, I was like, just is moving across the country like really like a good idea, and is it really worth it, and is it really possible? And he was just like, man,
yes.
He went to residency in Denver and brought his whole family there, and then he moved his whole family back to Columbus, Ohio.
Yep.
And, and so it's just like,
guys,
it's just like if you want to do something,
yes,
there's nothing that you can't do as long as you
and
believe and you want to do it.
And don't make your family your excuse.
Right.
Like, there's so many people that because of that. I was like, no, that you don't put that on them.
Yeah.
Like no, this is your choice. A man up or
deep
woman
down,
up.
I always knew it was worth it, but sometimes it's good to have some reassurance from some close friends or family. And
100%.
All it takes, though, I was talking about this the other day with somebody, but all it takes sometimes is just one person to believe in you or tell you exactly what you needed to hear or already even knew.
Yeah.
Deep within. And even if it's just a compliment or a little bit of, confidence boost, doesn't even have to be somebody you've ever met before. It could be a random person walking down on the street, and they just say the thing that you need to hear the most right then and there, and, changes your whole world.
And we just faced that with these big studios, man. All they needed to tell us was no. It took like a year to have them say no.
It's like,
and it was the answer.
Why didn't you tell us this a year ago?
Yeah, it's like, God.
Because we kept knocking and knocking and knocking.
Has the here soon we're gonna talk about the COVID time period, like years gone by, but I bet that really changed your all's industry.
Oh,
big time,
100%.
And it's
for the positive for you guys now.
For the positive, yes, but there's things that we'll never go back to.
Well, like
some
he
of the
said,
ways.
auditions that aren't in front of you, video auditions.
It changed some things for. I don't know if I want to say the better. For the worse, but it definitely changed things for a negative in a way too. Because, yes, like Jack said, the self tapes. It's great now. You don't have to leave your house, and you do have to do a little bit more work on your own. I mean, you have to
it's less
record,
personal.
You have to get a reader. You have to
can't sneak
edit
into
it.
auditions.
But if I'm a director, I want them in front of me.
100%.
And that's the thing. As an actor, I would choose in-person audition any day because you get to go in there and attempt to win over the room, show your personality.
Yep.
They can be like, oh, we like what you did there, but let's try another one this way.
Yep.
Whereas self-tape, you just get one chance to send something in and hope that they see something in you. Whereas on the other hand, with theaters and like the streaming industry has blown up, even more so after COVID. And people love to go out and be entertained around a bunch of other people, like concerts and movie theaters. But I think that people definitely are more likely to sit back and watch Netflix or Apple TV or something like that rather than go to theaters all the time. If they know something's coming out streaming.
Yeah, well, I have a big, I don't know about that. I don't agree with that all the way.
I
know what you're saying.
I know a lot of people,
I know what you're saying.
have resorted to that.
And what I would blame for that, and just to bring up the argument, I would blame in the content. I just think there's so many bullshit movies, because I don't think
saturated.
There's not many good movies anymore.
Streaming did not take over movie theaters. All right, here goes a good example. Okay, you got your song. Streaming took over TV. Okay, now TV and cable is dying and dead. Okay, movie theaters. The only thing that will take over movie theaters are
shit movies.
Take over are holograms, like that new hologram globe in
Vegas.
Yeah, so that will take over movies eventually, and but in virtual reality in a way. But
that's
streaming,
$1 billion.
But $2 billion to cost to make it. But streaming is not taking over the movies. I think the things that are ruining movie theaters are bullshit movies. Yep. I mean, how many fucking times? All right, this is a very sad thing. I really respect what they're trying to do, and I think it hurts when you get too political in your movies.
So stupid.
especially. I'm all about all the things that are being fought for, but give them their own thing. Don't try to do something that worked over here and just switch the characters and, do it the same. I remember there was a superhero movie that came out this summer, and I brought my kids. I would go to the movies every week and I brought my kids to it. And literally my son is calling out who's going to die, who's this, who's the bad guy, and he just calls it all out.
Not supposed to be able to do that.
No, because
like
the movie's the
shows,
same as everything else. Like I remember it was because I was like, they're like, oh, that guy's gonna die. He's just like the uncle in Spider-Man. Guess what? He died. It was the exact same character. I was just like, dude, I blame, and they spent $200 million on this movie. It's like, dude, man, how are you going to make the same thing everybody else does? And
because it's safe, because they think the
they
tickets
think
are going to be
is.
there.
They think it's safe,
Yeah.
but that movie lost money.
Yep.
And but then a unique creative movie like Barbie that made over $1 billion.
I go see a ton of movies.
Yeah.
But I didn't go see Barbie.
Well,
I know y'all did. I didn't see it.
I didn't watch it in the theaters. I wish I would have, but I got two boys my boys
Like,
wouldn't watch it with me, so
It
I
was
just
fun, and I enjoyed it.
But it was new.
It was
okay?
it was like the Mario movie too. It was just fun, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a cool world that you got brought into, and the sets were. I mean, Mario.
And
was,
they
of course,
marketed
like,
that like a mofo, man. Like, they spent $200 million on that. Well, Margot Robbie. The only reason Mattel was down, I guess, Margot Robbie told them that this movie's going to make $1 billion. And she didn't know that, She was just saying that to, manifest, I guess. It worked, It made over $1 billion.
Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling.
All right.
I mean, that's
the movie was $200 million to make. Do you know how much they spent on marketing?
$200 million.
I assume that too. Like, I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty positive it was like $200 million. But just what
ideally you're spending more on marketing than the movie itself.
Yeah,
but that's such a big number to make it too.
Oh my
right?
God, $400 million.
That's
but,
wild.
They went over and.
But it was because I go to the theater a lot still.
Yeah, I love the theater.
Me and my
let
girl,
me finish the quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a CD. All right, you got a CD or a song, right?
Yeah.
It's completely different going to that live performance. You might like listening to that band, but you go to the concert. You go there because you're surrounded by people, and you go to the movies because you're with 100 different people that are seeing and witnessing something the same as you. So
why do I like going to the theater?
I think there's nothing like being with 150 people and their reaction and the big screen, the big surround sound. Now they have, what is it called, where it's like 51
popcorn.
The popcorn. No, but I really think it's actually you know what a movie is for a parent? It's an affordable event all the time. Like, a movie's a lot cheaper than Kings Island. A movie's, a lot cheaper than the Carnival. So it's like
bonding experience too.
Yeah.
You can talk about it afterwards.
Yep.
Share the emotions.
Movies
together.
change me too, though. Like when it's like reading a book or something. Like, when I watch a good movie, it makes me feel stuff. Like, and it makes me learn.
Pulls
so
you out of reality
emotions,
for a while.
like you react from moods and emotions. So I didn't mean to cut you off though.
No,
you and your wife go to movies?
No, it's we've been together 16 years. We're not married.
Yeah.
So we're very non-traditional, but traditional.
Yeah.
I'm in a similar relationship.
Yeah, I'm not. I've been. Mine 15. We're not technically married. I'm
Actually,
getting
it's like
finally
15.
getting. Yeah, I'm actually finally getting married on June 1st. You're invited.
Congrats, June 1st.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it on top of like the Great American Building. But
they
I've
play
been
some
with
tennis
it for
up
a
there,
long-
I think.
That's what I said. They
Yeah,
play
yeah.
tennis. I was like, man, we just get married on the freaking top of the building.
Where do these big dreams come from?
Because I have no limitations. Like,
Sleepless nights.
too many people. I realize that I can go to space. I realize that I can do that. I mean, I know it's going to be hard. You know what I mean? But I'm not afraid of the work. That's where the Ohio work ethic comes. Too many people are afraid of the work, and me. I can go if I wanted to go to
Afraid of the
space. I'd go to
unknown.
space.
Yeah.
If I wanted to be a basketball player, I'm not gonna let my height worry about me. I'm just gonna outwork all y'all.
So are you just grown-up iterations of who you were as a kid now?
Oh yeah, I always
Yeah.
tell people this.
I'm
I'm
just
doing the
more,
same things, just getting better at it.
Confident to admit it now.
Yeah, I'm completely different, but I'm definitely doing the same things I was doing back then. I'm just way better at it for sure.
Yeah.
It's just a grown-up version. You're not different. It's just
Yeah.
a grown-up
Oh, yeah.
version.
Oh yeah, well
and
said.
even then, I always felt like I was different than others. I always felt like I always tried my hardest in everything I did.
Overachiever.
Oh yeah, a bit of an overachiever, I guess you could say. I mean, but there was definitely some things that if I was doing something and I didn't feel the desire to be the best at it, then it was kind of like, all right, well, that's not going to work for me. But the things that I really cared for and really enjoyed, man, that's just what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be. And so, no, I think it was just, I'm definitely the same. I think even more now than ever, I'm more like my kid self. I mean, when I was
Well said.
when I was probably like 17 through 26, I mean, that was
You're worrying about what the fuck everybody else thought.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
And
totally.
now you're not.
Now it's like fuck all that. Now it's like I'm me, and that's all that matters. And so no, and I think that's why I am just enjoying every day the way that I do. And like you said, like who are we gonna be in 20 years from now, or will we feel satisfied? And I think I can truly say now more than ever that, I mean, if today was my last, that, I'd be happy. And, there's still so much that I want to accomplish, but the process of it all has just been such a blessing and such a fun ride that
you're on
I'm
the
doing
fun
it,
part
I'm
now.
doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And that's all there is to it. Like, that's just the way it is. Yeah.
Good for you guys. Hey, so music's important,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
Oh, yeah.
Is it for
yeah.
both of you?
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
this guy's the singer in a band right
Yeah,
here. Shit.
no, I music is very important to make it, like, especially for stylized of a movie. I asked you before, who's your favorite actor? Do you have a favorite movie, or at least one right now?
I don't know, man.
like-
I don't
Well-
think. Here's the thing. I love movies, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I really
Well,
do.
What was the last movie you watched?
I don't even remember.
All
I'm
right.
not ready for this. But here's
What,
let me go back in time. Something that I would see come on TV or something that I would consistently watch. Man, I'm this guy who thinks anything's possible.
Yep.
So I kind of like these inspirational movies.
Me too.
They're cheesy or something, but I like the
Oh.
pursuit of happiness.
Oh,
I
man.
like
Yeah.
something with some pain,
Yeah.
but that everything's against you.
Man, you
Yep.
almost got me crying right
But
now.
that's
just
what I
thinking
feel,
about
man.
them.
Like his
No.
wife gave up on him. Everybody gave up, man. Like it's just time. And you know what I think? I'm like, that's life.
Yeah, yeah,
See, that's life. And I see all the moments that guy should have quit,
yeah.
but then he kept going. And I see it too. I'm like, man, he's taking his kids through this and the
Yeah.
example that he's setting for them. So
Yeah.
I think about that one's special to me.
Well, it's
Invincible.
very
It's kind of like, yeah, that
It-
one though is a
Yeah,
whole nother
Pursuit of
level.
Happiness. I realized having kids young about something very much about Pursuit of Happiness. So my parents, they were already established when they had me. I was the oldest. They were like 35, 36 in their careers, successful. And with me, my kids saw me struggle. They saw through it, and I think it had benefits and pros and cons. But they know how hard it is and how much it will take. But the reason why I was bringing that up is music is so important. So with Pursuit of Happiness, I mean, I guarantee it was like a bunch of violins. They might have tried to bring you into whatever city they were in. But for this movie, The Private Eye, I'm very grateful to be a musician because for the budget we had, we usually you can't use real instruments. Usually it's a guy on a keyboard making all these plugins, they call them. Like, I have a violin, it's
Kinda
a
like
sound.
shortcuts.
I mean, even the biggest, but I mean, even like TV shows do this. Like you need like $200 million or $100 million to make a movie with a real score. But since I knew musicians, I got lucky to have the guy who composed it. His name's Ryan Remington.
Oh man, he's a true rock
Oh,
star.
it's all live instruments. The only time he's using a keyboard is when it's supposed to be a keyboard playing. But something that I love about music is my movies that I am personally wrote, like The Private Eye. The music was already picked out before the movie was filmed. I knew I wanted. I actually got this from one of the other writers, Patrick Rowe. But we wanted to use salsa, Hispanic, Cubano music because you can get a real dramatic scene. And it's still comedy in The Private Eye, but a situational comedy. So with Cubano and salsa music, it could be like super serious, but you can also freaking laugh.
This feels
It's
like you're making like the Mexican or something, man.
Well, it's very. It was that type of music.
Yeah,
Those
is
were
it?
the examples.
Yeah,
And with that, I remember we showed somebody the movie right after the score was done. I think it was one of the composer's friends, and he had the best. He's like, man, I'm so glad you didn't use the normal neo-noir film noir movie, because normal film noir is it sounds like Frank Sinatra. You got a trumpet or whatever. But we have it feels like you're in L.A. Like, we don't have the Hollywood sign in it, but you can feel that
you're
you
there.
are in Los Angeles.
Do you think that is because you're a musician as well? Is that why you could feel it and see it and know what you wanted?
It's why it's very important to me.
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
Back to Ryan Remington real quick. He's an amazing guy, but it's funny, man. He's just a good dude in so many ways. We've gotten into a lot of deep conversations because he's just very gifted and a little out there in his own right.
He's the type of guy. He doesn't have any social media, cell phone.
None of it's like, dude, come on, man, get with the program here.
Some parties with him, some networking events, and it's funny. He was talking to this girl one time, and she's like, "Oh well,
what's your Instagram?
What's your Instagram?" And he's just like, he pulls out
a pen.
He pulls out a pen and a paper, and he's like, "Actually, can I get your email? I don't have a phone." And she's like,
"He might not have gotten that date."
But
hilarious.
so he is the spinning image of Otto from The Simpsons.
Oh,
the
damn!
Bus driver, and he's
is he gonna take that as a compliment? I don't even know, dude.
No, I mean, not in a bad way. He's just like a true rock star.
Yeah.
And
he is.
Jack was neighbors with him at one point, so that may be how you guys met.
It is.
But he was one of our security guards back in the day too, during the early years of our security company. And it's funny because he would show up. So he would take that. This was before he had a car too, and he would take the train and the buses. And every day he'd show up to work, and he would just stroll in, just either playing his banjo or playing his guitar. And I'd be like, "Dude, you're such a rock star." You can't
bring the guitar, bro. That's good. No,
he lives and dies it, man.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
How tough is it to be a Dwight Yoakam, who's crushed both? Country music star, and he's had some cool roles in movies.
Yeah.
That's rare, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Garth Brooks too. Or no.
I know that Jared Leto. He had a band before. The Sandra
Tim
Bullock.
McGraw.
Yeah,
Tim
McGraw.
McGraw.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
it makes it easier actually.
But Dwight Yoakam seems like a good actor in his roles, man.
Yeah.
Like, he was in the Say Panic Room or something. He was in that.
Yeah.
Like, one of the three people that broke into the house and were trying to.
Yeah.
He just has some big roles.
No, no, it's I think it's even easier because you already got a following. You know what I mean? Like, say a lot of people might start hiring Matt now just because he has a built-in following already, and then they'll try to gather that following from
the brand's going to come with it, right?
Exactly.
It's like people are going to come see it just
because
because
that happens in the industry a lot, to where you just got to find that niche that can get you through.
Yep.
And then once you're there, you can expand.
Look at 30 Seconds to Mars with Jared Leto, man. They were nobodies, but Jared Leto does some roles, and then boom. They I think they broke a record for most tours consecutively.
Really?
Yeah, it was like something stupid, hundreds of thousands.
So which one should we pay attention to, the Rotten Tomatoes or the popcorn?
Hey,
I'll leave that to Jack. I don't pay attention.
I don't even know about popcorn, but
so the popcorn's it's the audience voting.
Oh, okay.
So Rotten Tomatoes are
you
supposed
could pay.
to.
You could pay them.
So I think, but no, Rotten Tomatoes. I think
popcorn,
that's
I would say.
So it's the experts who are rating the movies.
Really?
That's what I'm saying.
Really? Yeah.
So
I'm actually still this is our first big movie. I would be scared to look at the Rotten Tomatoes of my last movies.
So
but,
that's all the supposed professionals rating it.
Yeah.
And then
Even
the
though
popcorn's
we make
from
these movies
the
for
audience.
ourselves, I mean, we make it for the audience.
Yeah, I think the audience is the one,
the
ones to trust. I do think this is a movie for film buffs. I think it's one of those. I mean, obviously, people like you even because you bring up Pursuit of Happiness. Like, if something, if
that was a great,
it's a movement. I'm so glad you did, because like people don't know what people want, and these Hollywood people, the I don't know Rotten Tomatoes, but
that's what it's people that supposedly are
the high execs or whatever.
Yeah, man, it's like Siskel and Ebert back in the day, a bunch of people like that.
Yeah, and after dealing with them for so long, like I really the people are all that matter. I mean, like people make things popular. You know what I mean? It's like good examples are like Napoleon Dynamite. You might not like that movie, but the world did. You know what I mean? The world, it made $48 million in the box office. They made that for $400,000.
Like 25 years ago or whenever.
Yeah. And then Halloween, the original with John Carpenter. Like nobody might have liked that movie. They made it for $300,000, and now
movies like that too. When you have a limited budget, it calls for true creativity. And I'm not saying these big budget movies don't get creative either.
No, but if you get what you want, you don't have to do the math
I mean, the
problems.
big budget movies that are already big studio movies, and like the sequels of Halloween, they've got unlimited money.
Yeah.
So if you need more money, no big deal. But if you can't just go and get more money, that's where you have to get creative.
Yeah. I mean, good example, 2020, all right, gun stores. We had a scene where we were supposed to film in a gun store. 2020, guns were very popular, especially in L.A. So we couldn't film at the gun store we were talking to because they had lines out the door all day, every day,
we can't
buying
close our
guns.
business for a day for you guys.
So we had to get creative and kind of like make our own underground gun store, and that it's way better
This
than it
feels
would
like some
ever
Batman
been.
shit or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
man.
No,
With some
it
Joker
is.
stuff
It
down under
is.
the
Yeah, it's
Penguin.
true.
It is.
Yeah.
We
No,
used
and,
the same place for 4 different locations of our movie just because they hooked us up and we had to get creative with it.
So why aren't there a lot of great movies anymore? So here's what I'm not one of the Marvel
Mhm.
and DC comics. Those aren't my movies.
Yeah,
man.
neither.
yeah.
So there's so many of those coming out. There's just not great movies anymore.
It cycles. It's cycles. It's what
Well, it
what
sucks right now.
Well, it
People
sucks,
like
but it cycles.
action
It
and
cycles. You know,
explosions
right
and
now new things are
loud
coming out
noises.
again. You know, like
Yeah.
but like back in the early 2000s or late 90s, let's just say, or even early 90s, everybody wanted something new. You know, so they created all these new shows that are new movies, and then and the cycle continues. Oh well. Let's start making things that have a secured audience. You know, right now, comic book movies, the only reason they exist is because it's for sure going to make some money because it has a built-in audience. I don't know if you ever been
Yeah.
to a Comic-Con, like the one over here.
Man, I
mean-
never have. But we had the guy who runs the toy department
Yeah.
here, which is
Yeah.
up off like Route 4 in Northern
Uh-huh.
Cincinnati. So they're big into all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's just crazy. Like
Yeah.
even horror movies. Why does everybody want to make a horror film? Well, because they got a built-in audience, like
Yeah.
HorrorCon up in Sharonville.
Yep.
I mean, you've got thousands and 5,000 and
So they're making shit that they
20,000
say
live
people
and
want
die
to
for
see.
that.
Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Well, no,
collectibles
it's they're making things that have built-in audiences that are for sure until and things people are used to until the cycle continues and people want something new. Like for the past year, guess what? Comic book movies have been bombing. Well, why is that? Well, you're making the same
We've
shit
seen enough of
over
it.
Yeah.
again. Yeah. So now
it's-
people are starting to see
Creativity's
want
got out
something
the
new.
door and they're just
you know?
recycling things.
And that's where we come in.
remaking
You know
things.
what I mean? Like
Plus,
we
I
wouldn't.
think there's
yeah.
a lot more movies to fight through, and there's so many streaming platforms, and there's so many.
And that's what I think is killing
There's so
movie
many
theater.
platforms
That
for
part.
you to put content on, so people can just pump out these terrible movies,
Yeah.
and then the people that actually enjoy a good movie, I mean, it's
hard to find.
that's why you still go to the theaters because it's like, okay, they're picky with what they're gonna play. Where otherwise, I'll sit there on Netflix and I'll spend 2 hours trying to find something decent to watch, and it's like, damn, I could have watched the whole movie by now.
Yeah.
Why do I like watching documentaries?
Because you learn something.
Yeah.
In my mind, that's why. It's like, I mean, just
think
like a
so.
movie. That's why I watch movies too. Is pure pursuit of happiness. I mean, that's a true story, man. If that guy didn't go through that and bring his
Yep.
kid, guess what? They wouldn't have made a movie about him. You know, they made a movie about him because he defied all odds and what the normal people, quote unquote, say you can and can't do. You know?
Why does the public like Rudy, but people don't think it's a great movie? I've heard people say that. Like I've heard people say it's not a great movie. I like that story too.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I mean,
I think it's taste. you know.
overcoming the odds, and
Yeah.
I mean, like I brought up the movie Invincible with Mark Wahlberg. Too.
Yeah.
That one was a true story.
About Marshall. Is that what that's about?
No, that one's about what's his name, Vince.
Oh,
Is it
play for the
the
Jets
hockey-
or
Played
something.
for
Oh, the Jets,
football
yeah,
player.
yeah, exactly. The
Right?
Eagles.
Yeah. Eagles. That's
Eagles.
it. Yeah.
And I think about that one a lot because the first time I ever saw that, I think I was at the gym on the treadmill, and the treadmill had like a built-in TV on it, and I was just there to do my normal 3-mile warm-up before my strength training, and that movie happened to like be on, and I ran like 10 miles because it was just so inspiring.
you
and
know,
just,
Isn't that
you
wild?
know, it just I forgot I
That's
was
what
even
it's all
running.
about.
Yeah,
That's what
Yeah.
it's all about, man.
That's wild that made you change your behavior.
yeah.
Yeah. Love too, you know. It's a crazy example, but you know, The Graduate, you know. Like you know, that was the first of its time in a long time. And you know,
Why you got to talk about the Notebook and stuff, man? Why we got to
I
talk
love
about
The
stuff?
Notebook too.
I do too,
Notebook,
man. I'm
yeah,
sorry. I get all
yeah.
sappy
I
on your
love
ass.
One of my
Yeah.
best, one of my favorite scenes is kissing in the rain in a canoe. Like
So
it's just,
good.
well, because you
I never
you-
realized Britney Spears almost got that role.
Oh, glad
would've ruined it.
Yeah,
I'm
glad
sorry, I
she didn't.
said it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not-
Brittany, we
right
love
now,
you.
I'm not-
Hey,
I
Ryan
agree.
Gosling said she had a great audition though.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And I think the chemistry read was even pretty good. but
you know,
that was
I'm
also
glad that
Britney
was
Spears
Rachel
could do anything
McAdams.
she wanted to do.
Yeah,
back in
Well,
those
Rachel
days.
McAdams.
That was the
Talent.
first thing. That was
talent.
it,
How can
man.
you can't get much better
Dude,
than that.
but it taught you, like, what does that movie teach you? It teaches you how far you can go with love. You know what I mean? And that's very tangible. You know what I mean? Like, what the pursuit of happiness, that is not very tangible. That took a very big thing. But defying all odds with somebody that you can love, like anybody can do that if they really want it. Like, you find a person that you just fall in
Drives
love
you.
with. It.
Man,
Yeah,
that movie caused me pain, man. Like
Oh,
watching
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude had to go buy the house.
Yeah.
Hoping.
Yeah,
The
man.
house where they hooked up and had their first little
Yeah,
fling.
yeah,
He
yeah.
had to go buy it, hoping maybe she'd come back someday.
And see it.
And then she comes back, and then she's going to leave him.
Mhm.
Man, I felt that shit.
yeah. What will you do? How far will
That
you
one
go?
and the Titanic will always be two of
Titanic
the
was
ones I
good.
could go back to any day if I just want to.
You know what was good romance
those
recently
emotions.
was the
Man, Jack, you
Crawdads.
don't-
Where the Crawdads sing.
Man, you don't know nothing about no
yeah.
love stories. What
Oh,
you talking
shit,
about, man?
man.
Get the hell out of here. You ever going to make a love story? You all going to
Well, I think that's the crazy thing is all my movies are around love. Like, they're surrounded by love. Like this one, I mean, this movie's all about love. If you
In a way,
it's a big
yeah.
mystery. No, it's
No,
all
it is.
about
It is,
love.
but I'm
Like,
just saying,
it's
you
the
know.
twist, though. You're
That's
gonna
why
have
you brought
to see
the sexy
twist.
love sponge with his
exactly,
back. You brought him in
exactly.
because of his
Ah,
back.
man.
Hey, every time I run out of things to say, I'm like, hey, Elliot, turn around so they can see your back.
Yeah. You know, just cuts back there.
You always got to have a guy like this around.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Makes it
Hey,
easy.
you got to keep working out your back because it keeps your posture upright, right?
There you
Yeah.
go.
I bet
Otherwise,
I can
you
tell he's
slouch
ripped.
down, especially today's day and age with everyone looking down on their
Yeah,
phones all the
yeah, yeah.
time. I mean, can't forget about your back.
So
Everyone
you
wants
got
the big
that-
chest and the big arms.
So you got that new haircut. Are you 30?
34.
Really? I could even put like you could have been late 20s. I mean, he's got
Oh, yeah.
you got the fresh haircut too, man.
Fresh
Where-
fade
right?
these days.
Is
yeah.
that was that a mullet back there?
Yeah, yeah. I like to think of it more as a faux hawk, but definitely business is the front party in the back.
Oh, shit.
My mom hates it.
Uh,
My mom's a hairdresser too, so she like just wants to get the clippers.
Sneak
and
behind you and shave
sneak
it off.
behind me.
What about old McConaughey? What about Matthew McConaughey?
Love it,
Oh,
man.
yeah,
he
he's
he
great.
came from nothing to everything.
And
but
I
has
love
the
his
perfect
story
attitude.
too of how
yeah.
he was on top of the world, on top of Hollywood, and then he
Mhm.
decided, you know what,
Switch
I'm doing
directions.
great, but I can do better stuff than this, or I
he
want
did it.
something different than this.
Yeah, and he did it.
and he did it.
And now I think he's going for
Turned down
politics.
a lot of
He
money
got
during
bored.
those years.
Yeah, he's about
Yeah.
to be the governor of
Yeah.
Texas here
He
sometime in the next
he'll
decade,
get it
isn't
too. He'll get it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's some.
He's
You know how he
winning
made
life,
it.
right?
What?
He's just winning.
Oh, he's winning. You know
Yeah.
how he made it? You know what?
No, tell me the
got
story.
into the industry.
Mm-mm.
So he was a bartender, and this film, the director of this movie was, I think they filmed it in town, maybe.
All
but
right, all right.
yeah,
all
Dazed
right.
and Confused.
Yeah,
Yeah, Dazed and
All
Confused,
right,
and he
all
was
right,
the
all right.
director or the writer was in a bar, and he was serving him as a bartender, and he was just like, "Man, can you come into the audition?"
Supposed to have a small little
Yeah.
role.
Oh yeah,
Right?
Yeah, boom, probably yeah, and,
And
he
then
just
he
kept.
came-
All these
Yeah.
one-liners, best one-liners ever. Like, it made his whole life. He's still saying, all right, all right, all right. Watch the leather, man. My favorite is like, hey, you got a joint? He's like,
You think
"Nah,
that
not
gets
on me."
old, or do you think he just embraces it? Like,
It depends who it is. I know
Yeah.
some people it eats him up, but I think he's the type of guy. He's like,
yeah.
thank you, man. That made me right there.
I
You
think
know.
he embraces the
Yeah.
hell out of it.
Yeah. No,
And
he's
I love
definitely
the-
one of a kind.
I love his commercials that Jim Carrey does.
Oh yeah, with the Lincoln.
so good.
I'm just rolling a booger right now.
So good, man.
You know,
that guy is
It's like a
smooth,
little
isn't he?
fluffy
Oh yeah,
tennis
he's
ball in
smooth. Jim
between my
Carrey's
fingers.
even freaking smoother. No offense to Matthew, man. Like Jim Carrey, that guy. Well, he's maybe not smoother, but he's definitely got like his energy. Jim Carrey's energy is whoa. You know, like it's a big ball, and that's somebody who has gone so far to where now he doesn't care about anything except for what is truly real. Nothing in this physical world about money or anything. He just gives a fuck about like energy and like.
Yeah.
So
you
does
know.
our boy Keanu.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
well,
what
that
about
guy,
him?
he's a motorcycle guy. He loves. Dude, that guy is a sweetheart. Okay, like
Hardball,
when he
man.
did
Hardball is-
Matrix. Yeah, hardball. Yeah, when he did Matrix,
another one. That's
he
another
bought
feeler.
everybody a motorcycle in that crew. Bought them all
It's like
motorcycles.
George Clooney
Yeah.
from here.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's a Cincinnati boy.
Yeah.
Maysville, Kentucky. It's where he grew up, just right
Yep.
down the road.
Yep.
Yeah.
He bought all of his friends too.
Something crazy. It was like he
Something
gave them all
crazy.
$1
He gave
million.
them all- yeah,
dollars.
What's
Yeah.
Jo- what's old? Did he step away from the business, or is he behind the
He's
scenes?
been
What's
directing.
going on?
He's been directing
Yeah.
a lot lately. I mean, and that guy,
I
you know,
think
once
he
you
started
get
a
so,
family finally, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and once you get so up there, I mean, it's you know, it's just you find out this like once a movie there's a certain good good quality. But once you're past, like once you know how to hire the right people to make a good quality film, it's all about what the movie's about. So like when people have done the biggest stuff in the world, you know, Ocean's 11 or whatever, then they start getting like political and, you know, start doing
He's
like
a businessman.
one start
He made more money
spreading
off
word.
his tequila than all
What
his
matters to
entire-
you, like the stuff deep inside, like
Exactly.
Yeah.
And tequila, like he's saying, he just sold one
Make
of
a
the
few
more
hundred
money than
million.
his
Make a few
entire
hundred million. What the
film
hell?
career.
yeah. You know, so and now he just does things for the fun of it, you know.
And I think that's the dream. I mean, that's a big part of, I mean, many reasons, but one of the big reasons I got into acting was because I wanted a career that would give me the freedom someday to do what I want to do.
And not to throw this out there, I mean, but there's a reason why Jack Nicholson retired. You know, like do you want to be remembered as the old crazy dude, like who looks horrible, or do you want to be captured?
He wants to be the young crazy dude who
Yeah.
looks horrible.
Because
Yeah.
his younger roles, those will live on forever.
Well, and
man.
that's what, how do you want to get remembered? That's why James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, like they all died young. They're
So
not
he was
remembered.
kind of like this next iteration of Marlon Brando, right?
Who?
Jack Nicholson, just wild,
he
weird,
was.
and unique,
Yeah.
and
He was well.
Kinda?
Mike Nichols,
I think so.
my teacher, gave him his first lead role in Carnal Knowledge. So Mike got to watch the rough cut of Easy Rider, and that was Jack's first big movie. And he was a supporting role, and Mike Nichols saw that and was like, "Dude, I need to put him on my next movie." So Carnal Knowledge is with Jack Nicholson and Art Garfunkel. But there's a quote I love by Jack Nicholson, and he's like, "Man, if you start off as people thinking you're crazy, when you're normal, they won't think nothing of it. But if you start off making everybody think you're normal, if you do something crazy, you're gone. You're black. I don't trust this guy."
that's right.
So like, you know,
Yeah.
so Jack Nicholson actually had a he was a fun guy. I mean, that guy, I never met him, but the stories are just like, you know, he was very in tune with the street. Okay, like, you know, he would always like, you know, you get movies marketing and everything, but if you can get Martin Scorsese, this guy and that guy to watch your movie and tell all their friends, guess what? That's the street gets
Working
a certain,
for you.
yeah.
Cred,
Yeah.
And so like Jack was very like, he would stay out all night, and I remember there was a story about him doing Batman, and Tim Burton was like, "Well, I want you here at 6 a.m. And Jack's like, 9 a.m.'s the earliest I'll be there," you know, like whatever. And then like the story I think was told by Michael Keaton, and he's like, they were in makeup together, and you know Jack Nicholson had the Joker makeup, and Michael Keaton's like trying to get some advice from the older actor, and all of a sudden all you would hear is Jack Nicholson would just pass out because he's like sleeping in a makeup chair.
Because
So-
he's been out all night long or whatever he's been doing.
Yeah. Well, it's keeping that street, you know, because you got to keep friendly
that could be
with
me.
people.
That could be me.
Just fall asleep.
I
think
yeah.
but like I'm just not a morning person.
that
either.
Jack
Like,
is
I
a
like my
good
nights and-
example of maybe not a method actor. Like he's like kind of like where he's always Jack Nicholson, but he's so natural and good at being it. Like Mike Nichols would tell me what Jack would like on set. Like Jack Nicholson would like is he doesn't care if you're the gaffer or grip at the corner of the studio. He wants to get your attention somehow. Like when he's acting on set, he wants everybody's presence in
Yeah.
the room. Like that's
I
what
feel
Mike
like
Nichols
some
would
of the
tell me.
best
about.
actors that's kind of like the realm that they get into, where it's no longer them just acting; they're just being themselves, and the roles are just delivered by them, like Jack Nicholson being Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
in The Shining.
George Clooney.
and Batman.
His
yeah.
best role, I love George Clooney and Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Oh man,
I mean, he doesn't seem like George Clooney in that.
what a unique movie there too.
Yeah, the directors, man. I'm all about the Coen brothers. They're
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
What so what's up with a couple of these nicknames you got?
Oh, hey, which ones?
Well, I don't. Well, how many are there?
Yeah,
Like there's one. I mean,
are you talking about
which ones
asshole?
did
other
people
So a
give
lot of
You
people call
kind of
me
got
asshole.
an arrogant one on here, Juggernaut.
Oh, that's what they call. I mean, shoot, that's what I am. I'm an unstoppable force, man. Like that's the one thing that's about my trait is that. You know what I mean? I'm definitely, you know, and people used to call me that. I think they started calling me that. There was a meme that came out, a cartoon where they had a cartoon of the Juggernaut, and they had these voices in the background saying, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch," and like, you know, they would just like voice whatever's happening in the cartoon. So Juggernaut, when I was in high school, was real popular, and so I started saying, and then everybody started calling me the Juggernaut. And no, I really like that, and I took it to heart because, like, you know, his unstoppable force is what Juggernaut means, and that's what I am.
And you're a king of sing.
Yes, I might not be the best singer, but I'm the fucking king of it.
You know what role you
That's
could
like
have
a
played?
tagline too.
The
right
role
there.
you could have played over the past 5 years. Man, you could have played Elvis, man.
Oh yeah. No, yeah.
He's
If I
been
was in
getting
the
called
running,
that this
if I was
past
in the
week.
running for that,
Especially after
Austin
we get
Butler
hooked up
would
with
have.
our suits.
Yeah,
and our
yeah.
bling, bling.
But am I right about that? Could I?
You know,
if I was a casting,
Yeah, Austin Butler. You know how he got that role? He was doing a play with Denzel Washington, and Denzel Washington suggested him to the director of that. That same director did like Romeo with Leonardo DiCaprio, Romeo and Juliet, and a few other, like The Great Gatsby. He did that. But I think why he did so well in that movie is COVID stopped the production twice. So what does it do when production stops? Well, now you get 2 more years of practice on that role. So he did the whole, like, where like the Joker, Heath Ledger and the Joker locked himself in a hotel room for a month. So he did
For 2 years almost.
2 years.
They
sorry
told
about
him
that.
they could have sent him home, and he said, "No, I'll stay here in the hotel room." And apparently, every wall in the hotel room was full of Elvis pictures from every stage of Elvis's life.
I was talking about So it was same thing as Heath Ledger.
I almost brought him up earlier, rest in peace, but that's one of my favorite actors.
Oh, he was one that got better with
His
age,
Joker
actually.
roles changed my life.
Oh,
Did
me
it?
too.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, 100%.
do you think? So obviously he had some battles. He was battling some things, right?
Oh, yeah.
Himself. But do you think a role like that just was too much? Like, do you think? I don't know. You guys know the business more than me.
I mean,
It was a combination of a lot of things. really.
I don't think it was the Joker. I mean, his movie that came out right after that, right before that, was about him being a heroin addict. So, like, maybe that would do it to you. Like, I mean, the Joker.
He was just so famous and so busy at the time too that he wasn't getting a wink of rest, and so, he had this lingering cough or cold that he couldn't get rid of. So he was trying to like take some stuff to fix that, and then he was taking stuff to help him sleep. But then you gotta like be awake and be present for these things too. And I think it was just too much, all too much. I mean,
I mean, who knows? I
who
can never
knows?
know.
Who
I mean,
knows?
yeah, shoot.
It just sucks because it's like, man, it's the same thing as back in the D, James Dean or whoever, right?
Oh yeah,
When he died in a car wreck or something, right?
Yeah, he was driving too fast. You know how many movies he did?
What did he do? Like 2?
3.
Yeah.
And he was like 24.
He became
was
famous
he?
after
22?
he died.
But man, what could that have become? What could?
Oh man. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
hey, you never know. It could
Maybe not.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually
Everything happens for a reason. Is what I like to
and he
believe.
stays young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like imagine old James Dean. I mean, I guess in The Giant they did that, but it's just like Tupac. Like Tupac died. I mean, he could have done so much more, or he could have like bombed, and
Isn't that
everybody would
funny?
have got
Like,
bored.
I
of
don't
him.
want to die young, but
Yeah.
those that die young, that's all how that's your point.
Yeah.
That's all we know them that way.
Shooting
100%.
stars, man. Shooting stars. They catch your attention, but they burn out real quick.
Yeah. No, it's it's very people's journeys are awesome. I think you got to learn how to be happy with yourself. And I think that's the answer in the end is like, and that's why the movies, in the beginning you're doing it all to please other people and figure out what other people want.
Yeah.
And then in the end of the day, once you learn you do it for yourself and you do it to make yourself happy and satisfied in your own way. It doesn't last forever, but if you can find that, you've won.
Yeah, if you can sleep like a baby every night, then you're doing something right.
Hey, what are you quoting The Private
I
Eye,
am.
bro?
I am.
That's from our movie.
So this is perfect. It's a good way to as we wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
But when am I going to be able to go to like AMC at Newport on the Levee? Am I going to be able to go there at some point and see The Private Eye?
Yes.
Yes.
When do you think?
In February. And even more than
February
that.
2024.
Yeah, February 2024, and even more than that, we should have brought the tickets, but I'd like to invite you to the Cincinnati premiere.
Yeah,
if
I'd
you would
love
like
to come, man. I would. I'll come to that.
February 3rd.
That's February 3rd.
Okay.
It's in the afternoon because we got a big night, and I want you to, I'd like you to come
man.
to all the events.
Yep. That'll incentivize us to get more eyeballs and views on this. We're starting to do some fun things here, and it's not just about the podcast; it's about the micro content that comes after it.
Yep.
And so, as we're talking, you've seen me look over at Dave a couple times.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
okay. You're like, hey, we can use this a little bit.
He knows too. He's got a whole list over there. We've become good at it. But we had a guy sitting across from us. We had 1 million views just on that little clip. So it's these random moments that hit.
Oh yeah.
Like Josh Sneed. So he's
Wait, why do I know that?
he owns Cincy shirts, but he's a comedian.
Oh,
like he's
okay,
just
okay.
one level below
Josh
Burr.
Snead, okay.
Josh Snead.
No, but Snead is Eric Roberts' guy. That's no, but Josh Snead, I
That's a funny
know of
story.
him
He's
through a
funny,
friend.
dude.
Oh yeah,
He's funny,
Yeah.
and he's got a new
he's
special coming
a
out.
comedy guy.
Yes.
That's how I know him.
So
yes,
he has like if you would rank actors and you rank comedians, like I think he's probably like one level of fame below like Burr and Chappelle and all those guys. He's successful.
Oh, I know who he is.
But he owns this Cincy Shirts,
Yeah.
really successful
Heard of that.
business
Oh, yeah.
locally,
Sure,
right?
Oh yeah.
And he sat across from us, and just in the conversation, I don't know what's going to hit and what's going to. I just want to have curious conversation. And he talked about what he learned from Dave Chappelle,
Yep.
and that son of a bitch went to the moon. We're sitting here, it's like, oh yeah, we're getting to 250 on that one. Oh, we're gonna get to $500,000. Oh damn, it hit 750. Oh, is it going to go to $1 million? And so that's the thing that comes out of this real organic conversation.
Yeah.
It's like we get to know people and what's inside of you. That shit hits me. Hits on the street.
Well, yeah, and to toot your horn a little bit, one thing I loved about what you said is, I had a famous actor in this past weekend, and I was like, well, if you want to get him on a podcast, we need to do it before he leaves. And you were like, look, Jack, I'm all about the content, the real entrepreneurs. You really want to talk to the right people. It's not only, you talk about views. It's just like for money for us. I want to make money off the movies, but, it's all about what content are you making. And, I hope, I'm glad you let us share. Thank you for having us out here because I think there's a lot of people that can learn something from what we talk about. And I hope the movie industry, even though we want it to be real big, I hope it's a smaller understanding for people, how it's just like what you do.
Kudos you guys, man. I love when I hear somebody's doing something new and special, and you're like, man, we have this dream, and the studio's opening in Glendale, and we have these movies. You never know who's definitely going to hit it big, but you're like, they've got the stuff. See, that's it. They've got the stuff, and if all the right universe aligns for you,
got it.
That's it, right? So I think kudos to you guys, man. I like to watch
Yeah.
these stories, and just I like being on the front end of stuff too, meeting great people, and if something hits real big, we just did a fundraise for a guy recently, a local ultra runner.
Okay.
His name's Harvey Lewis.
Okay.
This guy just won like the race of like all races, dude. So he ran 400.
Like a David Goggins type, huh?
He beats Goggins.
Oh, like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He beats Goggins at what everybody thinks Goggins does great.
Yeah, yeah.
So Harvey Lewis just ran 450 miles, okay, in 108 hours.
Whoa,
Wow.
man.
Okay. In that 108 hours, that 4.5 days, he only slept for a total of 3 hours.
Oh my God. Unstoppable.
Man.
See, that's
So
what
it's-
inspires me.
It's the last man standing stuff. So we were sitting here in December of last year, and I was like, hey, man, when you go to this world championship, so 75 runners came from all over the world. The champions of their country came here to run in this race in Tennessee. And they all came, and I said, hey, Harvey, you're special, man. A lot of people know you. Like Jesse Itzler, he's his buddy who owns a running company. Like this big guy, married to the lady who owns Spanx, Sarah Blakely. Like he's got these big friends. He's an influencer now. And I said, Harvey, what if when you go to Tennessee, we do a big fundraiser around it? He's like, yeah, what do you think? I was like, what's the most you ever raised? He said, like $12,000. Like, what if we raise $100,000? So we're in the midst of it. So here's what's funny. Last week, he went and won the race, man.
Nice.
So like,
Yeah.
we're sitting here talking about it. Like,
Yep.
let's raise the $100,000. This guy's gone worldwide now. Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so it didn't matter if it did. I wanted to talk to Harvey.
Yeah.
But when something hits, it's what's going to allow us to raise this $100,000. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So like when you guys make you're going to say when, I say if.
Yeah.
Right? You make the movie, whichever one really hits big. It's like, man, you know what? That's the story. Good for those guys. It's like, because I don't care about the fame and all that shit.
Mhm.
That comes if the content's good. That
100%.
comes if the movies are great, right?
Yeah.
100%.
And I like to know, like, behind the scenes, it's like, oh, yeah, they got it, man. They got the good shit. Like, those boys have the good DNA inside. They've got the good stuff that really is a good human being. So kudos to y'all for doing it.
No, thank you. And,
Y'all special, man.
I wanted to give a big shout out to Jay at Native Brand for introducing
Yes.
us.
Yep.
He's actually the one who made all these shirts.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
So he
Get your
came on
shirts.
he came on the podcast. I love these stories of people doing things against the tide, man.
Yep. I
Right?
mean, and shoot, that guy's alone himself. And I'm very happy to meet with you. I'm very impressed and inspired by you as
Oh,
well,
yeah,
and your
man.
team. Seriously.
Love what
Seriously.
you've built, and
We
for all
just
those people that got that feeling inside, just take the chance.
Just
It's
go
worth
do it, man.
Just go do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
do
we've
it.
just begun, and that's the attitude. Every time we get finished with a podcast, because everybody wants to do one, but it's like, guys, it's not good in the beginning, but just keep going. Every time we get done, you guys will leave, and I'll sit and say, all right, boys, what do we need to do better next time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Oh, yeah.
What do we do well? What didn't go well? What do we need to level up on? Because we didn't do this thing just to mess around.
No.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right? We did this to build something that can impact people.
Yeah.
That's how we
And
feel about
yeah.
our movies. I mean, The Private Eye was funny because, there's definitely some things we could potentially do better. I mean, part of that being, having a bigger budget for the next one. But it's also funny because there's been those moments where Jack and I will look at each other and be like, damn, how are we going to make the next one better than this?
Because there's so much luck in it.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember somebody asked me a question like, about, I think it was at the screener about, are you excited for the next one? I'm just like, man, I hope we get as lucky.
Yeah.
Like hopefully.
Because, same. There's always ways to grow.
Oh,
and
COVID
always
almost
new
stopped
knowledge
us.
to learn. But
Everything almost stopped us. But, no, we just keep on going.
Can't let
Keep on
that-
doing it.
Yeah.
That is
can't
it.
let
That's it.
that keep you from playing the game,
Yeah,
right?
because
Nope.
here's what you have to know other challenges are coming.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's what, I'm positive, but they're coming.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
They're
And
gonna
enjoy
show
the
up.
journey.
Always.
Don't, when
Okay.
people first start off, they're thinking about the ending finish line. But no. It's all about the journey.
All right, I
And
appreciate
then-
that.
W's and
yeah.
the L's, and those L's are just learning experiences.
All right, y'all are too good. Let's get the
Ah.
hell out of here.
All
right.
Let's see you guys. Thank you.
Mark.
Thank you very much.